2026 group tickets. Call 212-YANKEES or visit yankees.com/groups today.
ESPN New York is your home for the world champion New York Knicks. WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York. This is Carlin.
You know I am not that bright.
On ESPN New York.
Fat, bald, nasally, I got it.
And streaming live on YouTube.
You're welcome.
Oh, no, you're welcome. You're welcome. The pleasure is all ours. You kidding me? Christopher is off. Grass is in. That is right, kids. On this Monday, it's dreary, it's cloudy, it's nasty, but we're going to brighten up your day. As long as you're not checking social media from those that cover the New York Jets at practice this morning, I think that everything is on the up and up. As we await word from the head coach in approximately 20 minutes as to the status of their franchise running back, who they just extended not too long ago, who went down with an injury somewhere in the lower half of his body at practice this morning. So we will wait for Aaron Glenn's update. Yeah, that'll put a smile on your face to begin this week, right? Just a few more left in the summer before we turn the page and it's football season, but this is where we are, folks. I wish I had better news for you. Hopefully it's a whole lot of nothing, but we keep our fingers crossed nevertheless. But what is going on, everybody? Hope you had yourselves a fantastic weekend as we hang out with you here for the next 3 hours at 800-919-3776. That is the telephone number. At Dan Grassa on the socials is where you can get me there. I look inside to that control room where there is a lot of control happening in that room right now. That's why they call it the control room. I see Tom Bauer, who is in that room. I see Ray Denahan, who is in that room. Ray Santiago still slurping those last couple of sips of coffee that he still has in that mug from 4 o'clock this morning or whenever the hell he woke up. Great to see all of them, and it's great to be with you. You can catch us on the YouTube channel as well. Take a look at my mug for the next 3 hours as we talk about the world of sports here. We will give you, just to give you a little agenda of what is on the docket for today, because it is the first weekend of preseason football, which is now come and gone, thankfully. That's how I look at preseason football, right? It's a necessary evil. Thankfully, there's only 3 weeks, and one of the 3 is now a thing of the past, right? And we could just check it off the list, scratch it off, 1 down, 2 to go, right? So we will recap not just what happened with the Jets and the Giants in their preseason introductions, but maybe take a little bit of a wider glance across the National Football League. We'll give you some sideline to sideline at about 11:30 today. Then at 12:30, we will give you some audio files, right? Give you some all-encompassing sports audio that you need to hear, in addition to the usual on the Jets and the Giants and the Mets and the Yanks and everything else that's happening in the world of sports regardless. And again, we'll get to the nuts and bolts of what we saw from the 2 football teams coming up a little bit later on as far as the preseason openers, because, again, it's preseason, right? It's a necessary evil. And the thing that I always say about preseason football is you just want to make it to the finish line in one piece. I don't care who you are, right? That's just me as a football fan. Forget about where my personal allegiance lies. But me, who is a fan of the entire sport and loves watching any single football game that I possibly can get my hands on, all right, I want to have everybody have at least some sort of a fair fight when the season begins in September here. So you hope that teams stay injury-free. You have as close to a full deck as possible once September rolls around. And I know that a couple of teams have been dealing with some injuries here. I get it. It's unfair. It's unfortunate. And, this morning now with this Breece Hall stuff, it hits a little closer to home that maybe, just maybe, it's something that you should be concerned with if you're a Jet fan, given the status of your number 1 running back. And just for those that are joining us right now, okay, for the first time and, don't have access to social media and all these other things, I'm going to read you exactly what Rich Cimini, who covers them, of course, for us here at ESPN, what he was posting within the last half hour. So 24 minutes ago, it says, Breece Hall goes down untouched while running after a catch. And then a minute later, he said, looks like a possible groin injury. He walks off with trainers. 4 minutes after that, Hall is being examined under the medical tent. It appears to be an upper right leg. And then that's really all we got as far as Breece Hall is concerned. And as I said, Aaron Glenn, according to the original itinerary, is supposed to meet the media at 10:15. So sometime, hopefully in the next 15, 20 minutes or so, we'll get some information from the head coach as to the status of Breece Hall. We shall see. A couple of the other writers out there were speculating that maybe he slipped on some wet grass. I mean, obviously, look, it rained overnight in the area. I mean, all you got to do is look out the window. My car was wet this morning. I don't think somebody came by and dumped a whole bucket of water on it. It rained. It's nasty outside. So, unfortunately, that happens when you're playing real football and you're out on the grass and, you got to deal with the elements. So hopefully it's nothing too serious because, as we know, he's going to be a big part or supposed to be a big part of this offense when you're talking about 2026 and what the Jets hope to do in terms of turning this thing around. Giant fans, meantime, got their first look at the John Harbaugh experience on Saturday afternoon at the Meadowlands. And, for at least a brief moment there, late in the first quarter, when you saw your second-year franchise quarterback get absolutely walloped on a blindside blitz, that Tyrone Tracy really just had no desire to even breathe on the guy, much less try to, stand in the way between him and the Giants franchise quarterback. And then Dart kind of just laid there motionless for a couple of seconds, which felt like, probably about 10 minutes to every Giant fan out there. And, as has been all too common with Dart so far in his first couple of years in the NFL, he has to make a stopover in the blue tent. And you're saying, you got to be kidding me. This is the first preseason game, and there's something already wrong with this guy. But thankfully for the Giants and for everybody involved in Jaxson Dart, it was a very, very short stay in the tent. And the surprise to many, including myself, they put him back in the game, only to see Jaxson Dart go out there and make a phenomenal play where he's rolling left and then decides to throw across his body. One of those like, no. Yes, when you see Fields go up there and basically snare the rebound right out of thin air and beat the defender for the football as he's going out of the sidelines for the touchdown there, giving you a little bit of a glimpse of the rookie, what he can possibly do for you is a red zone threat, big target for the Giants and Jaxson Dart, which was good to see. Truth be told, I was very, very surprised that he even came back in the game. So it's like, yes, you got to see the nice throw and the athleticism and all those things, but I was surprised that he was even back in after taking that hit. I didn't think the juice was worth the squeeze at that point, given it's preseason, but hey, John Harbaugh runs a different kind of a program than everybody else does. Let's face it. This is a guy who, as we talked about last week, this is a guy who's used to winning, winning preseason games. When he was with the Baltimore Ravens, they won 24 consecutive preseason games, which is just staggering to me. The guy wants to win, and he feels that winning, it doesn't matter when it is, whether it's in the month of August, September, October, November, December, it breeds a winning culture and a winning environment, and that's what he hopes to do in East Rutherford here with the New York Football Giants. So, as I said, some good, some not so good, but it's still the first preseason game, and you can't get too crazy either way. We'll talk about Cade Klubnik and what his debut was like for the Jets, getting the surprise start. Surprise to a lot of us. I was at the game Friday night, of course, and, was up in the booth before the game, just talking it up, getting some information, final details before we hit the air at 6 o'clock. And at about 5:30, we were told that Geno was playing. I go into the elevator, take it all the way back downstairs to the club where we are, and then by the time I get down there, the reports are that he's not playing. So something might have happened in the 10-minute span. I don't know what it was, but it ended up being Cade Klubnik's show, and he went out there, and I thought he distinguished himself quite well. But it is only just one preseason game. It's 2 drives, and as Bill Parcells used to say, you're not going to put a gold jacket on him just yet. There's still a lot more football that you need to see from this kid, and you're going to get another dose of it coming up on Friday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that is where we are right now as far as the football locals is concerned. We should spend some time here on the baseball, of course, while we await for Aaron Glenn in his press conference, because I think clearly it was a mixed bag over the weekend for the Mets and the Yanks. Now, the Mets, I understand, are playing out the string, and it's all about next year for them, but say what you want. They're making themselves a heck of a lot more watchable between now and the end of the season, because since the trade deadline, they've won 9 out of 12 games. And ironically enough, you got 2 teams starting a series tonight at Citi Field with the Padres and the Mets, who are probably 2 of the hottest teams in the National League. I mean, the Padres have just been on a ridiculous streak the last, 3.5 weeks to get themselves squarely back into the playoff race over on the wild card side in the NL. And meantime, like I said, the Mets with a new-look roster, so to speak, definitely a new-look bullpen because they basically just traded all those guys to other teams that are, buyers at the deadline. Not only are the Mets playing better and winning games, the bullpen has actually been one of the best relief units in all of baseball over the last couple of weeks, which, go try to figure this thing out. But the Mets have gotten a, breath of fresh air the way that they're playing here and still got 6 more weeks of baseball to play. They're not going to cancel the season, so they're giving their fans at least something that is worth watching. Yankees, on the other hand, they go up to Toronto, and look, we knew that it wasn't going to be easy because Toronto is very much a desperate baseball team, okay? As up and down as their season has been, despite the fact that they went out there and, traded away, arguably their best starter in Kevin Gausman, and they've dealt with injuries so far this season, and they really have played inconsistently, but they're still in this thing, and they're still trying to get hot at the right time and to try to sneak into the postseason as a wild card squad, right? And the Yankees over the last couple of years, anybody that's watched them will tell you that clearly they have not had a lot of success playing up in the north of the border there in Canada. It has not been very friendly to them, especially what happened in the playoffs last October. And yes, they lose 2 out of 3 this weekend. And yes, for the most part, it's still the same culprit for this baseball team, and that is the offense or lack thereof. When you got into extra, how many people watching that game yesterday? I'll raise my hand. When the Yankees surrendered the tying run there in the 9th inning, and Rice made the error, and you knew that you were going to the 10th, how many fans felt confident that the Yankees were actually going to find a way to win that game, given the fact that they're not very good in extra innings? That's number one. Momentum clearly on the Blue Jays side. You're sitting here and thinking, putting the pieces together, thinking, oh, this is going to be a sweep again. The offense can't get it going. How can you expect to beat anybody when you're only scoring 2 runs a game? Blah, 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 blah. Until the 10th inning yesterday afternoon, they had only scored 4 runs in the first 27 innings of that series. 4 runs. Okay? That doesn't even average 2 runs a game. So you don't have to be a baseball viewer for 50 years to realize, you know what? They're going to have a hard time winning games consistently with this type of offense. And we have seen this from this club for how long now? But Ben Rice, Johnny on the spot yesterday, atones for the error, gets a hold of one in the 10th, puts it into the seats, and the Yanks hang on for a much-needed victory. Give them a little bit of breathing room heading into the off day today before they go down to take on a suddenly resurgent Baltimore Orioles team. And by the way, for those that haven't checked the standings, okay, right now, if we were starting the American League playoffs today, there would be 4 teams in the playoffs from the American League East. Because Baltimore right now, yes, with a losing record, 2 games under 500, the Baltimore Orioles, who actually batted Pete Alonso in the leadoff spot for a game over the weekend. Those Baltimore Orioles are currently holding down the final wild card in the American League. So you know what? That is going to be a big series over the next few days down there in Baltimore. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Yankee fans down there in Camden Yards, usually are. But now that series has a little bit of life. And so despite the fact the Yankees lost 2 out of 3, they actually did gain a game on the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday. Because Tampa, after winning 9 straight, go figure baseball, right? That's baseball, Susan. Tampa Bay goes on a 9-game West Coast trip last week, and they sweep it, which is hard to do. To go out west and go 9-0, I don't care who you're playing, it's tough to accomplish. Tampa Bay does that. What do? They come back home, and they've lost the first 3 of a 4-game series against the O's, which is going to wrap up today. So by virtue of that, the Yankees were actually able to get a game on them, and now they're 6 back in the loss column. Look, I still think that is a big, big road for them to still try to chip away at. I really and truly do. I guess you could say anything can happen, but right now I think that the Yankees, forget about trying to catch Tampa Bay. As we've said, you've just got to worry about playing good baseball, and worry about the teams that are behind you more than anything else. The Red Sox, who went through about, 5 weeks where they wouldn't lose a game. Now, all of a sudden, the other shoe is dropped for them, and they've dropped 7 out of 9 games. So you've been able to get now 3 games of separation ahead of them in trying to hold down that first wild card spot. But again, look, I keep coming back to the same thing, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. It's true. Something's got to give with this offense. Something. And you know how we always talk about in football, right? Where if one unit is clearly outperforming the other. Where whether it's a team that, has a phenomenal offense and the defense just can't stop anything, or vice versa, where the defense goes out there and plays lockdown, shutdown football to where they're only surrendering, let's say, 10 points a game. But the offense can't even go out there and score 10 a game, right? They can't even get the ball past midfield. We've all seen examples of that. You always wonder if there's some sort of, dissension amongst the ranks in the locker room where there's, infighting, offense versus defense, blah, blah, blah. They'll never cop to it, but you wonder if there's any sort of friction in the locker room. I wonder if that's starting to take shape in the Yankee clubhouse, really and truly. Because those pitchers go out there night in and night out, giving this team a chance to win a baseball game every single time they step on the field, and yet the bats are basically MIA. And yesterday, forget about, Cole, Fried, and Schlittler. Yesterday, again, Ryan Weathers continues to add another chapter to a story, which, look, I've covered this guy since he came up in the big leagues. This is the best stretch of Ryan Weathers that I've ever seen. Anybody that's followed baseball since is the best that we've ever seen, hands down. Something has clicked. I don't know what it is, but it's good for the Yankees, and it makes the conversation that much more interesting as we get to the finish line. Okay, what role are you comfortable using Ryan Weathers in, and what maybe should he deserve to be in? Carlos Rodon is on the mend, and he's going to be back here soon. That's fantastic. And all of a sudden, we're just assuming that he's worthy of a postseason start. Well, really? What if Carlos Rodon is inconsistent at best when he rejoins this rotation, and Ryan Weathers continues to go out there and just mow dudes down left and right and pitch to a sub-1 ERA? You're going to put Ryan Weathers in the bullpen? You're going to tell Ryan Weathers, hey, you know what? Long relief. That's going to be your job in the first round of the playoffs. Hell no, you're not. Of course you're not going to do that. So I don't even know if it's sustainable, to be quite honest with you, but the Yankees should try to maximize this version of the lefty as much as they can here, because it is really helping them out at a time when they need it the most. But this is, like I said, it's like Groundhog Day. 3 runs or fewer in 11 of the last 16 games. That's almost impossible to comprehend. It really and truly is unfathomable to me. Sometimes you run into a team that, may not pitch well, and maybe you run into a starter who just doesn't have it, whatever it might be, and the bats come alive one day, and you say to yourself, all right, we were teased. Remember last week, we were all giddy, at least I was, thinking that maybe, something had changed. That game against the Seattle Mariners where they broke out with the 10 spot, and they needed the runs that day because the pitching just didn't have it. Maybe this was going to be the day that unlocked something with this offense. But we've gone right back into the rut again. And why the heck is this happening? Here was the Yankee manager. How fortunate do you guys feel to get out of Toronto with at least one win?
Very. obviously a tough ninth inning there, but a lot of really good things today too by those guys. And look, this season's going to tested our character and our resilience, and I think we have a lot of that in that room. And it's games like this that we continue to find ourselves in. We just got to keep fighting and know that we're an incomplete team, but we have a chance to be who we want to be. So love the fight and a good way into the off day.
All right, real quick on the Jets situation, sigh of relief. Aaron Glenn said that Breece Hall has a strained groin, doesn't think it was a big deal, per the head coach. Okay, so Jet fans, you can exhale, you can relax. You're going to have number 20 out there for opening day, knock on wood. Shouldn't be that big of an issue. But back to the Yankees now for a second. I think the other takeaway that you received from this weekend is something that didn't even happen on the field, and that was the news that Cody Bellinger is close to a rehab assignment, which should happen here in just a few days. And that, to me, is what would give you a little pep in your step if you're a Yankee fan. Okay? Because if Cody's going to go out there and play, games in the minor leagues Thursday, Friday, something like that, you could conceivably see him back with the big club maybe this weekend, or at the very least a week from today. So you could start to see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit, that the guys are starting to return. Okay? Stanton has a running program that's going on. Fantastic. I don't know what it entails because it's been how long since he's been out anyways, and it seems like whenever he starts, he stops, he starts, he stops, but he's running, he's mobile, he's moving, whatever that means. And Aaron Judge is playing catch. And that's all I got for you. And that's the optimism that we're going to have to take from this here. Judge is playing catch. Stanton is running, but Bellinger is close to returning. And therein lies the first pickle for Aaron Boone. When Cody's back in the lineup here, what do you do with your outfield alignment? Right? You figure Bellinger's going to play left. You're going to leave Grish in center. And then what do you do in right field? You're going to have Spencer Jones play against righties, and you're going to have Ramos play against lefties? Is that what we're looking at? Okay, fine. Ramos still scares the hell out of me with the glove. And in a perfect world, I'd like to maximize Spencer Jones and what he could possibly do for the team. But I also know that Brian Cashman went out there and brought in Ramos for a reason at the trade deadline. And this is a guy that you want to feature. You know, that play on Friday night, by the way, I mean, you got to bring it up, right? That play on Friday night that ironically was the one that Vlad Jr. got hurt on when he and George Lombard collided at third base. The play with Luis Garcia at first base where he loses the glove, goes and gets the baseball, and then bombs it into, left field trying to get the guy across the diamond. I mean, we tried telling you, Luis Garcia is not a glove, and therein lies the problem. You want his bat in the lineup. You're going to try to throw him in there as much as you can against righties, but if you're counting on the glove, I got news for you. That is not his strength. So overall, when I look at the Yankees this weekend, I would say it's a mixed bag. It would be a lot more depressing, probably, the tone of the conversation today if they did not find a way to pull that one off. But you found a way to get the win. Not perfect. Offense is still not firing, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse when you're talking about this baseball team. 800-919-3776. That is the conversation telephone number for today. A lot of baseball today with the Yanks, the Mets. We'll get into the football, the preseason openers for both the Jets and the Giants. Sigh of relief, it looks like, for Breece Hall on the injury front. Lot to do between now and 1 o'clock. We'll do some sideline to sideline. We'll do the audio files. We'll do it all. It is Grassa sitting in for the big guy today on ESPN New York.
Hey Yankees fans, gather a group of 10 or more and take advantage of our 2026 Yankees group ticket specials. Whether you're getting together with family and friends, organizing a fundraiser, or entertaining clients, your group will love bonding over the Bronx Bombers. Start planning your 2026 group outings today. Log on to Yankees.com/groups. Call 212-YANKEES or email us at groups@Yankees.com. That's 2026 group tickets. Call 212-YANKEES or visit Yankees.com/groups today.
Lincoln Tunnel coming in from New Jersey. What a mess. An accident just clearing from the center tube. Traffic has been at a standstill for a while, but you're just starting to move now. Last couple of minutes inbound at the Lincoln Tunnel. At least a 25 to 30 minute delay. The Holland Tunnel, George Washington Bridge, they are much better. Bell Parkway eastbound by 150th Street, a crash. West on the Belt by Bay Parkway, an accident. Queensbound Throgs Neck Bridge, ramp to the Cross Island Parkway. That is still closed because of an accident. And the LIE at Ocean Avenue, westbound side, an accident still being cleared on the island. Got the Deegan northbound side, an accident by 230th Street. I'm Bob Williams on 880 ESPN New York.
There you were, surrounded by fans. Everybody remembers the game. Nobody remembers the guy coughing behind you. Till a few days later, at 2 a.m., you wake up with a fever and your throat's on fire. Now what? Urgent care? Closed. ER? Slammed. Telehealth? Maybe, but the pharmacy's closed. You needed a medical emergency kit. These aren't first aid kits. They contain essential prescriptions used for over 30 common conditions. Sinus and ear infection, UTIs, stomach bugs, traveler's diarrhea, and more on hand before you need them. Use your doctor-developed guidebook to select the right prescription or call their telemedicine doctor standing by. It's like an urgent care and drugstore at home. When you're sick, traveling, or stranded, you'll wish you'd ordered a medical emergency kit. Order online in minutes and it's shipped to your door. And save $45 with my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880. That's promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880.
At City Harvest, we believe no New Yorker has to go hungry. With your help, we're on the road 365 days a year, rescuing over 77 million pounds of nutritious food and delivering it free to millions of New Yorkers, transforming surplus food into sustenance, sustainability, and smiles, rallying thousands of New Yorkers to power a network of nourishment across our city. One day, one meal, and one New Yorker at a time. That's how we feed good. Donate at cityharvest.org.
We are moving now.
Electric bikes are everywhere. They are quiet and very fast. Teens ride them on the roads, in bike lanes, but also in places they should not be, like sidewalks and parks.
Look out!
When you ride, wear a helmet. Don't speed. Watch out for pedestrians and cars. New York State and your community have specific rules for electric bikes. Follow them. Go to trafficsafety.ny.gov for more info. A message brought to you by the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
Monkey Sports, built by players for players, is your one-stop shop for hockey, baseball, lacrosse, and more. Find top-name equipment and expert in-store services like sharpening, break-ins, and relacing. Shop in-store at Monkey Sports in Farmingdale or Woodbridge, or online for all the top brands. Whatever your sports, Monkey Sports gets you game ready fast. Monkey Sports, where athletes shop.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46, and I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. It's all online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Chris Canty here. Football season is back, and Lids has you covered. Just in time for kickoff. Want the latest headwear to rep your team at the tailgate, at the barbecue, or at the game? Shop the 47 brand NFL collection, exclusively in store at your local Lids. This collection puts a new spin on retro NFL gear. Lids has every fan covered with all 32 teams, featuring the big-time hits and alternate team logos. You'll find the perfect fit for every Sunday. Selection may vary by store.
All right, Grassin for Chris here on ESPN New York. 800-919-3776. That is the telephone number. Breaking news presented by Boost Mobile. And in case you're just joining us, Breece Hall, who went down at practice today, not the worst case scenario, which is good news. Per Aaron Glenn, looks like a strained groin. Doesn't think it's a big deal. He'll still go ahead and have some imaging done, but it looks like the Jets appear to have dodged a bullet as far as number 20 is concerned. And that's Boost Mobile. Don't overpay. Get unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month forever, for life, for real. Switch now at boostmobile.com. Also, some programming news. How about this that we'll throw out there that I've just been told? And you talk about our guys working feverishly behind the scenes, Ray and Tom and everybody back there. How about this? Joining us at 12:10 today, none other than the New York Football Giants all-pro edge rusher, Brian Burns. How about that? That's a good spot. So we will talk to the Giants' terror on the edge coming up at 12:10 a little bit later on in the program. So a little bit of everything today for your sports palate. Let's get to the phones at 800-919-3776. That is the telephone number. Let us say hi to Ira in Staten Island. He hears Jets, he hears injury in the same sentence, and he has to dial the phone, and he's up first here on ESPN New York. Hello, Ira. How are you?
Dan, I'll tell you, your timing is just unbelievable. I had a save at the pool, and I got a little bit of a hammy, not a big deal. They're just kind of working on it. I walk out of the PT office this morning. I get in the car. I put on ESPN. I hear your voice that Breece Hall got hurt, and I wanted to just get out of the car and go back into the PT office. I couldn't believe what you said. But listen, first of all, hopefully, he gets back fast. But I think the Jets are going to be smart. Listen, a running back groins, whether it's minimal, whether it's severe, they have to be smart. They will not put him back on the field till he's 110%. And my guess is nobody's going to see Breece Hall until opening day.
Yeah, I mean, that's a safe bet. You're probably going to see a lot of Braylon Allen and even guys like Kene Wangu getting carries during training camp the rest of the way here, as they should. But what you saw from – and remember, Breece got tackled by the turf monster. Looked like he was going to break one off around the edge for a touchdown on Friday night, but he got tripped up there, lost his footing. I think that it's safe to say, yeah, you've probably seen the last of him in the month of August.
And the luxury the Jets have, I know, listen, we're not talking a playoff team right now, but a team that's going to win football games. If Hall was, want to miss any time at all, a combination of Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, and that's not the worst case scenario. Allen looked very, very good the other night, and he looks like he's healthy, and he looks like he's big and strong. So the Jets are good in the running back room, but we want Hall to be ready for week 1.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you think about what he could potentially do for this offense, Ira, and thanks a lot for the phone call, as always. I mean, look, Braylon Allen busted off a touchdown run, and he certainly is dead set on having a big comeback season after missing the majority of it last year with a knee injury. Isaiah Davis is already down with an injury right now. Nothing, debilitating. Is that also a groin or I can't remember what it was, but Isaiah Davis is down. And then you're going to get other guys, to just pick up the slack here in the preseason, which is fine. That's what the month of August is generally about. The guys who are going to be there for you game in and game out, your regulars, they don't need much work necessarily. Most of them end up standing on the sidelines anyhow during preseason. I was looking at the schedule, believe it or not, and this is, the second preseason game nowadays, that is the one that is going to command the most eyeballs for everybody around the league, not just because, you might be playing whoever. It used to be the third game. Now it's the second game because all you have to do is look no further than the national television schedule. If you noticed in the first round of preseason games last week, there was not one game that was televised to a national TV audience. Not one, right? Except for the Hall of Fame game, but that's just because they always do the Hall of Fame game. That's irrelevant. But look at the schedule this weekend around the National Football League. Thursday night, Raiders, Texans, ESPN. Okay, so ESPN says, yeah, we'll take that game. Why the hell not? Then you fast forward to the weekend. Sunday, Seattle, Tennessee, prime time, next Sunday night. Fox is taking that game. You know why the networks even want to show you a preseason game now in the second week? Because this is the one where the guys are going to play the most, that they figure they're going to get the most eyeballs on the game. It's not because they're saying, oh, boy, that Seattle-Tennessee game, we have to have that one. How are the Robert Saleh Titans going to look in the month of August? Oh, my gosh, with all these former Jets and Giants on the roster, the whole world is buzzing. They have to see it. No, that's not it at all. It's because they figure that when people turn it on to watch, there's going to be probably the greater representation of recognizable names that are going to be out on that field for them to, lay their eyes on. That's the only reason. And we know where this thing is heading anyways, right? I mean, let's face it. Pretty soon there's only going to be 2 preseason games. We were there the other night doing the game, and, God bless everybody that ventured out and was at the stadium and took in the game. But it's a tough sell. I'll be the first one to tell you, it is a tough sell. The place is, I don't even know what you would say. 30% full, 35% full. I can't even tell you. It's nice that the starters go out there for a quarter. But then after that, what are you watching the rest of the way? Really and truly. I mean, you schlepping out, you giving up a Friday or a Saturday, in one of the last few weekends of summer, if you will, to go out there and watch, the third or the fourth string quarterback go out there and sling it around to, guys that you've never even heard of and probably will never see on an NFL field again. No disrespect. But remember, there's no discount on preseason tickets either. If you're a season ticket holder and you're forced to buy the preseason game as well, they don't give you a preseason haircut. Doesn't work that way. If your ticket costs, let's say, $150 for every regular season game that there's played, that same ticket is costing you $150 for the game in August as well. It's hard on the fan base. It really, and most fans, most season ticket holders, they just go ahead and eat the ticket anyways. They can't even be bothered. Like, what am I going to go out there for? Why am I going to give up a Friday night, a beautiful Friday night in August, where I'm down to my last couple weekends of the summer. Why am I going to give that up? That's one of the reasons, and I know it's going back a little bit now, but that's one of the reasons why the NFL decided to postpone the start of the regular season by a week to now post Labor Day. Because for the longest, when I was growing up, the longest time, football began Labor Day weekend. But the problem is that Labor Day weekend, a lot of people are still, enjoying their last kind of foray into summer. And then nobody, there were empty seats all in these stadiums because people weren't locked in yet necessarily on the NFL. So they said, the hell with it, let's move it back. And now you have an even longer start to the season because of the late Labor Day this year, which is why the Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. And that's the way probably it's going to look for, years and years down the road when we add that extra regular season game to it. I mean, hell, before we're, as we're getting ready to depart this planet, which is hopefully years and years and years and years down the road, we might be talking about March Super Bowls. Ray, is that crazy? A March Super Bowl? How about the Super Bowl right into March Madness?
I don't think they're getting out of February. President's Day weekend was always what people talk about.
Would you give me a leap year? What about a leap year? What about a little February 29th Super Bowl?
Yeah, every 4 years we'll have it on the 29th.
It's going to happen. It's going to not the March thing. I'm kidding about that. But the President's Day thing is going to happen. That is going to be the permanent home for the Super Bowl. President's Day weekend. And then it's going to be a big national holiday. Everybody's going to have off the next day. And, it's going to be a big 3-day feast celebrating the end of the football season. Bottom line. 800-919-3776. That is the telephone number. So as soon as we get some sound from Aaron Glenn, we're going to be able to turn that thing around for you and share with you what exactly he said about Breece Hall and the injury situation. But again, the bottom line, it doesn't behoove them to take any chances now the rest of the way. It's just the same reason that Geno Smith, was not thrown out there on Friday night to play when he had a little bit of an ankle issue, sore, as Aaron Glenn put it, from the joint practice with Tampa Bay. It's not worth running the risk. Geno was out there today. He practiced today, which is, all systems go. And if there's no other setbacks, you got to figure that Geno's going to get some look coming up on Friday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then probably not even see the field at all in that final game against the Giants, unfortunately. And that's the shame of it is that, we always used to look forward to the Jets playing the Giants for a lot of years. It was always that third preseason game, was it not? And that would be the one where the starters would play the most and, you'd have your bragging rights with your buddies and that sort of thing. But now the fact that it's the third and the final preseason game, you're not going to see a lot of guys out on the field. I mean, that's the bottom line. Now, last year, if you remember, Jets-Giants was the second preseason game. So you had guys go out there and play, but now that it's going to be the third and final game, you're not going to get a lot of regulars out there, which is unfortunate because you figure that there's going to be, Giant fans and Jet fans in the building. You'll probably have the biggest, crowd that you're going to get for a preseason game, and it's going to be a lot of guys basically going out there just fighting for jobs, right? That's what that last preseason game is supposed to be. But back to the Breece Hall thing for a second. When you look at this Jets team for the upcoming season, I mean, it goes without saying, right? There are a handful of guys, and every team can make this claim. There's a handful of guys that are irreplaceable. Guys that are extremely critical to if this team is going to have a good season, surprise people. These are the dudes that are going to have to go out there and perform at a high level. You would like to think that Breece Hall is one of those guys for the Jets. I don't say that he's number one or even maybe number two, but he's in the conversation. Because I know that Braylon Allen, they think the world of him in Florham Park, and he showed you a glimpse on Friday night of just how explosive he can be, right? Just don't have him return any kicks this year. I still don't know what that was about on the play that he got hurt last year in Miami, but oh well. I think they learned their lesson, right? Trial and error. But Breece Hall unleashes a component to this offense that somebody like Braylon Allen really can't do, right? In terms of the explosiveness, even in the passing game, right? Braylon Allen's a battering ram. But Braylon Allen also, if you give him some real estate, he could also kick it into high gear, as you saw the other night, and just completely break one off. So I think that the Jets have two really good running backs that they feel comfortable using at any point in time. And what I've been saying is what they're going to have to find a way to do this year, Frank Reich and the offensive coaching staff, what they're going to have to find a way to do is to get creative to make sure you get both of these guys on the field at exactly the same time. That's the important part of this thing. Get Braylon Allen in the backfield, spread Breece Hall out wide or into the slot, let him get matched up one-on-one with a linebacker and see if he can shake free, and Geno Smith or whoever the quarterback is going to be able to find them for hopefully some sort of chunk plays. That's what they should do this year. But look, Breece is a guy that's really, really important. He's clearly probably one of the top 5 guys that you can ill afford to be without if you're looking at a roster which is still trying to prove a lot to everybody and find a way to win more than 3 games compared to last year, right? And you don't really have much margin for error when you're a team that is a quote-unquote underdog and is trying to prove a lot of people wrong. You need your best players to, A, be your best players, and the only way that they could be your best players is if they stay healthy. And so when you saw news like that this morning, that he goes down untouched and he's being examined, your mind starts to think, here we go again. It's going to be another one of those type of seasons, but thankfully they get some good news and it's not anything serious with the groin injury. 800-919-3776. That is the telephone number. As I said a little while ago, Brian Burns of the New York Football Giants is going to join us coming up at about 12:10 today. So we very, very much look forward to talking to the Giants All-Pro a little bit later on. When we come back, we will talk a little Giant preseason football as well as more on the Jets and Friday night, and maybe, just maybe, has the Jets' backup quarterback competition already a closed deal? We'll talk about it. Grassa in for Christopher right here on ESPN New York.
Prizes, flyaways, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting ESPNNewYorkContests.com.
That's ESPNNewYorkContests.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877-CARS4KIDS to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to cars4kids.org now or call 877-CARS4KIDS to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
This is the Michael K. Show.
Talking with Alex Rodriguez, what you've seen of Lombard, what do you think?
It's amazing when you have a plus defender at short, how it makes your entire team better defensively. Lombard can do for the Yankees defensively and for those great pitchers what Aaron Judge does for the offense. That's how good Lombard can be.
The Michael K. Show, weekdays at 1 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube. Presented by the Parisman Firm.
Hey, New York and New Jersey. Commitment issues? No problem. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month forever, as in for life. Switch now at boostmobile.com. After 30 gigabytes, you may experience slower speeds. Pay $25 a month as long as you stay on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
Hot damn! Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea just got harder with Twisted Tea Extreme. The hard iced tea taste you know and love, but with an 8% kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Extreme is made with real fruit tea, goes down smooth, and brings your daytime drinking to the next level. Just look for the bright yellow cans in the cooler and get ready to dial up the fun. Big flavor, extreme kick. Twisted Tea Extreme. Keep it twisted!
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Shohei Ohtani's interpreter was fired today. Ippei Mitsuhara ran up gambling debts to a Southern California bookmaking operation.
The inside story of the biggest scandal in modern baseball.
He was absolutely bananas, the amount of bets he was making. I've never seen anything like it.
From 30 for 30 podcasts, this is The Betrayal of Shohei Ohtani.
Presented by Gusto. New episodes available now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Congratulations, New York. The Knicks did it. Through battle after battle, they dominated to become this year's NBA champions. Day in and day out, the hard work paid off, and you were there every step of the way. Enjoy the crown. Own it, because this year is your year. A part of your legacy that will never be forgotten. So celebrate this moment, show your pride, and shop the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
This is DiPietro and Rothenberg.
I take the car service home heavily medicated on Ativan, right? And my wife had told me prior to that she didn't like the way I was on Ativan, that I became hostile and agitated. So the Giants lose that game 24-21. And I said, I can't take it anymore. The season is over. And I took the vinegar and I dumped the vinegar out on her computer. And she said, what is the matter with you?
You dumped the vinegar onto the computer.
Yeah, but don't stop there.
Oh my God.
She goes, what's the matter with you? I said, nothing. You want to see the matter? At this point, the kids.
The poor kids. Are the kids okay?
This is DiPietro and Rothenberg.
And I don't remember what happened from that moment on, but I'm not allowed to take Ativan anymore.
Morning Start with DiPietro and Rothenberg. Weekdays from 6 to 10 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
Grasses in for Chris here on ESPN New York. 800-919-3776. Brian Burns of the New York Football Giants going to join us today coming up at 12:10. So we look forward to talking some Big Blue. In case you're just joining us, though, story this morning, a little bit of worry in Jetland because Breece Hall went down untouched after being on the receiving end of a Geno Smith pass. Got up, had to be examined by the medical staff. But according to head coach Aaron Glenn, it is all on the up and up as far as nothing too severe. And here was the head coach today after practice talking about number 20.
Breece strained his groin. I don't think it was a big deal, but I want to make sure I get the evaluation on that. The one good thing about our players, man, they are honest with their injuries, and if they can go, they can go. But we'll try to be precautionary with a lot of those, all right, to make sure that we do the right things.
And there's no need to force the issue, of course, given the fact that we're still in the month of August. Will he undergo any sort of imaging?
Yes, absolutely. The thing is, we want to do everything we can to make sure that we all get all the answers we have when it comes to those injuries.
All right, week one against Tennessee, that's September the 13th. Today is August the 17th, so we're talking almost four. Yeah, opening day is 4 weeks from yesterday. I think that would be enough time. I mean, I'm not a groin specialist. I don't think I've ever had a groin injury, to be quite honest with you, but I think 4 weeks is enough time, given the fact that the coach is not too worried about it, and this is a world-class athlete. I think that he should be good to go when the Jets head to the Music City. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Garrett Wilson were not practicing today, Coach. Why was that?
The two guys that had vet day, Minkah and Double D, they're doing just fine. Garrett came this morning sick. He was throwing up, all right? So obviously he'll be fine.
That's not good. Hopefully he gets Garrett some Pepto-Bismol, and he'll be on the up and up there. And the Double D, he was referring to Demario Davis. They've done this before in camp where they give the veterans a little bit of an off day from time to time. So they do it again with Minkah and Demario Davis to try to maximize their football lives, certainly given their importance to the defense in 2026. So that's a story in Jetland. And look, as far as the game was concerned, okay, on Friday night, obviously, the big takeaway was the performance of Cade Klubnik. And as I said a little while ago, I was surprised, just like everybody, that he ended up getting the start in the game because Aaron Glenn had told us just a couple of days earlier that Geno Smith was going to start, everybody was going to play, and, Klubnik would be mixed in as well as Bailey Zappi and Brady Cook and all those other type of things. Now, it is preseason, right? It's preseason. It's 2 drives. It's 2 drives against primarily backups. So what can you necessarily take from that performance? People were sending me messages Friday night, Saturday about, what did you think of the game? What did you think? And I said, to the naked eye, when you're watching it on Friday from the press box, it's tough to really lock in, right? You're in the flow of the game. Like, you're not sitting there, and you always have to go back and take a second look at it, which I was able to do over the weekend. And the first thing that I take from the performance with all young quarterbacks, at least with me, you always want to look and see if they look like they belong out there. And what I mean by that is, are they going to be rattled? Are they going to be jumpy? Are they going to have happy feet in the pocket? You know, you keep hearing the word poise attached to Cade Klubnik. You know, the poise, the moxie, whatever you want to call it, right? That's what people say that he has, that he brings with him. You know, important intangibles. When I watched the tape of those two drives, and I was saying this to the guys before the show today, looking back on the plays and not even remembering like what the play or how the play was going to unfold when I was watching it back, my first inclination on more than one occasion, and this is a compliment for the kid, by the way. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. My first inclination on a couple of instances was, as the pocket was starting to collapse, as the rush was maybe getting closer, I fully expected the quarterback to unleash the ball. Get rid of it, right? Or maybe you flee the scene, which is the other thing that quarterbacks tend to do, especially young guys that maybe don't have a lot of experience. I mean, how many times do you see a game? You probably see a lot of this the rest of the preseason, especially in the second half when you're playing with backups. How you see guys who don't have confidence or don't know necessarily what they're seeing out there. So what do? If nothing is open after 3 seconds, they tuck the ball and run. And you get a lot of those type of plays in preseason football. You didn't see that necessarily from him all that much. Okay, so as I said, there were instances where I thought that he was going to get rid of the football maybe earlier than he should, and he didn't. He didn't. He kept the ball. He hung in the pocket an extra couple of seconds, had his feet set to where he delivered the ball where his receiver or his target could go out there and make a play. Now, look, you don't love the high one to Garrett Wilson. It was a hell of a catch to Garrett Wilson, but in the preseason, you know, those can end up being hospital balls, which you don't want to have happen to your franchise wide receiver. But still made the play. And they can live to tell a tale or two about it because nobody was seriously hurt. But I think from what you saw in a brief cameo, 2 drives, he got points on the board both times, protected the football. That's all you can ask for. Now, am I ready to sit here and declare the backup quarterback job over? Here's what I will say. If you're just reducing it to the guys that are on the roster right now and the quarterbacks that are in camp, then yeah, he's probably the best of the bunch right now. I mean, I've never been a Bailey Zappi guy. Never have been. You know, in whatever stops he's been at in the NFL. And I know he had a brutal game the other night, one that Arian Smith probably should have caught. But 2 interceptions is 2 interceptions. A pick six is a pick six. You can't have it. Playing against backups. You can't do it. So yeah, Klubnik is probably the next guy to Geno Smith. But remember, all throughout the summer, we've been sitting here and debating the fact, is it possible, right? Is it really and truly possible for the Jets to go out there? Should the Jets go out there and bring in a veteran off of somebody else's team, no matter who that is, whether he's cut free or, you know, if Darren Muji can go out there and swing a deal to get the guy here? My thought process has not changed in one bit, despite what we saw Friday night. I think if you're the Jets and you have a guy that's available, that's out there to be had, you go get him. The more the merrier. You know, this is not going to be, you know, if you have to go trade for a quarterback, a veteran out there, it's not going to be crippling to the point where you're giving up like a day 1 or day 2 draft choice. It's not happening, right? Because there's no guarantee that the guy's even going to ever get on the field. You know, it's probably a day 3 pick, which to me is well worth the investment. Any team could tell you that. I mean, hell, Jet fans could tell you that. After what happened to Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago when he goes down. And you were left with Zach Wilson, and you saw where that season went, right? You don't want to have history repeat itself. And nobody knows what Cade Klubnik is eventually going to be. Look, the one thing that I was a little surprised about is that he only got 2 series on Friday night. I would have wrote him a little bit longer. Why not? You know, at the expense of who? So Bailey Zappi could go out there and throw interceptions? So Brady Cook could go out there and get, you know, a quarter or whatever it is in the second half? You know, we've seen Brady Cook. We saw him last year for 5 games, and a lot of Jet fans will probably be like, you know what, I'm good on the Brady Cook experience. That 5 games will last me a lifetime. I'm good. So what's the plan going to be for Friday night in Pittsburgh? You know, if Geno starts, you get Geno a couple of series. Maybe you want to play him a whole first quarter. Fantastic. Cade Klubnik should get the majority of the reps in that game on Friday night. I don't care if it's against first-teamers, second-teamers. Doesn't matter. Guy needs to go out there and play. And if he goes out there and he continues to have success against NFL competition, then you feel that much better about your options from a secondary standpoint. That if something were to happen to your starter, that, hey, you know what? You'd feel confident throwing this guy into the fire. That maybe you need somebody to help, get you through a couple of games. The more experience, the better. What do a lot of coaches tell you? You get better at playing. You get better at football by playing football, by practicing football. It goes with any other lot in life, whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, whether you play an instrument, practice makes perfect, whatever it might be. Honing your craft. And that's why I think you should play a little bit more. It's not like they're trying to save him. It's not like he's going to be the opening day starter, right? Let him go out there, take the training wheels off, and let the kid rip it. It's as simple as that. Now, in the same token, though, things can change completely, right? What happens if Friday night in Pittsburgh where the kid struggles? And maybe Pittsburgh is going to throw a couple of different looks at him that he's not used to seeing, and then all of a sudden, he's seeing ghosts, as somebody once famously put it. And he's not hitting his reads the way he should, and he's throwing it to the other team. And then who knows, maybe Bailey Zappi's the guy who goes out there and he plays better on Friday night. And we could be sitting here having a completely different conversation. You hope that that's not the case, but it is very much a week-to-week thing, especially when you're talking about preseason football and first-year quarterbacks. So encouraging signs early, yes, but still a long, long, long way to go. 800-919-3776. That is the telephone number. We'll do a little Giant football when we return. And remember, 12:10 today, Brian Burns. That's right, that Brian Burns of the New York Football Giants is going to join us coming up right here on the program live. Grassa in for Christopher on this Monday. It's ESPN New York.
Hey, Yankees fans. Join us at Yankee Stadium on Friday, August 21st, as the Yankees take on the Toronto Blue Jays. And don't miss Cody Bellinger Bobblehead Night, presented by T-Mobile. The first 18,000 guests through the gates will take home an exclusive Cody Bellinger bobblehead. Get here early, grab the giveaway, and cheer on the Bronx Bombers. Tickets are available now at Yankees.com/tickets.
This is Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg.
I'm telling you right now, I'm buying stock in 96.
I might be buying a jersey.
This kid, Lombard, is not overhyped. This kid is exactly the goods. And it doesn't mean he's not going to have a bad game every now and then. There's a way people move and act and talk that tell you, oh yeah, it's in him. Now it's a matter of sit back and let's watch it happen.
Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. Weekdays at 3 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
There you were, surrounded by fans. Everybody remembers the game. Nobody remembers the guy coughing behind you. Till a few days later, at 2 a.m., you wake up with a fever and your throat's on fire. Now what? Urgent care? Closed. ER? Slammed. Telehealth? Maybe, but the pharmacy's closed. You needed a medical emergency kit. These aren't first aid kits. They contain essential prescriptions used for over 30 common conditions. Sinus and ear infection, UTIs, stomach bugs, traveler's diarrhea, and more on hand before you need them. Use your doctor-developed guidebook to select the right prescription or call their telemedicine doctor standing by. It's like an urgent care and drugstore at home. When you're sick, traveling, or stranded, you'll wish you'd ordered a medical emergency kit. Order online in minutes and it's shipped to your door. And save $45 with my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880. That's promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880.
Hey, it's Alan Hahn. Upgrade your outdoor living space with TimberTech, the #1 brand in premium decking from Rings End. Picture this, a deck that's the highlight of your backyard. turning heads season after season. Now, imagine 20, 30 years later. It's still going strong. And here's the best part. You haven't spent a moment sanding, staining, or sealing it. Visit your local Rings End for the stunning real wood looks of TimberTech decking, paired with the kind of durability that only advanced engineering can deliver. Backed by industry-leading warranties, TimberTech is the decking that performs for decades. Ask for it locally at Rings End.
Harry Douglas here to help you ignite your taste buds with Firework Freeze 5-Hour Energy Shots. Juicy cherry, citrus lime, and blue raspberry. It's that iconic freezer pop flavor, but with none of that guilty sugar aftermath. The perfect summer kick. It's delicious, portable, zero sugar energy shot bursting with flavor. Bring on the summer with Firework Freeze 5-Hour Energy Shots. Available online at 5hourenergy.com and on Amazon.
Progressive knows there's no one more important to your team than your pet. They're like your top draft pick.
And it looks like Chuck has selected Pepper the Corgi. Bold pick there, Deborah.
Yeah, Rich, Pepper has a high ceiling for sure, but he does have a tendency to bark at every tree.
Yeah, he brings a lot to the table, but also takes a lot off of it, especially when it's been left near the edge.
Nothing left to do now but suit him up for the dog park.
Protect your top draft pick from injury and illness with Progressive Pet Insurance. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations. Covered subject to policy terms.
ESPN New York. Now streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe today and watch the show. WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2 New York.
Yes, indeed. Hour number 2 on this Monday. Grassa in for Chris here on ESPN New York. 800-919-3776. The telephone number at Dan Grassa is where you can get me on the socials. You can listen on the ESPN New York app if you missed anything in that first hour, as well as go back and check it out on the YouTube, the ESPN New York YouTube channel, where this show is streaming live in its entirety. And in case you're just joining us, a little over an hour from now, we will be joined by number 0, the star pass rusher of the New York Football Giants, Brian Burns, will join us. That's right, 10 after 12. So we look forward to catching up with Mr. Burns later on in the program. Tom Bauer is going to give you a little sideline to sideline as well in about a half an hour as we get the first weekend of preseason football under our belts. As far as the Giants are concerned, and that game on Saturday afternoon, obviously we talked about it earlier, the Jaxson Dart situation. That probably gave you a little bit of scare if you were a fan of the Giants. When you saw him take that pop, you saw him lying on the ground there motionless for a couple of seconds, which probably felt like an eternity. And then he gets up, and once again, he's back in the blue tent, and you don't know what's going on. You know, like you're following along on social media, you know, the reporters that are at the game, like our buddy Jordan Renan, you know, Tart's going into the blue tent. It's like, again? We're going through this again, and it's the month of August. It's not even the regular season, and Dart. But this one, you know, the difference between last year and what happened on Saturday, I don't know how you can pin this on the quarterback. You know, Tyrone Tracy whiffed on a block, and he left his quarterback out to dry. Like that. I mean, look, this is football. You know, last time I checked, it still is a contact sport. It is a collision sport. And sometimes you are going to be a victim of a collision on the football field. You know, they've tried to clean up the game and tried to make it safer and all those things, but it's still, you know, you got to tackle. You got to hit, and you're going to get hit sometimes. And that comes with playing the quarterback position. Luckily for the Giants, it didn't have any lasting effect on the game and their season because kid came right back in the game, had one of those improv plays, rolled left, fired one to the end zone where he looked for one of his new, hopefully favorite targets this season in the rookie Fields, of course, who goes up and wins a jump ball and really, you know, turns some heads on that play. And that's just, again, another glimpse of what you hope to see from some of these targets this year. And I know that a lot went into Odell Beckham Jr. and him making his return to the Giants. And I know that, you know, a lot of Giant fans are excited about him being back in blue and, you know, maybe a shot to make this team and all those different type of things. Like, I get it. And I remember when the Giants signed him that day, they decided to, remember in the spring when they signed about 3 wide receivers in one day. They signed Berrios, they signed Juju, they signed, Odell. And at the time I was like, well, what are they doing? Like, what's the point of this? Like, do they really think that you're going to get anything from Odell at this stage of his career? Or is it more just kind of like a ceremonial thing? Well, given where he is on the depth chart right now, and the fact that he didn't really get into the game until, that much into the festivities on Saturday, it kind of tells you, where he's at right now and, what they think of him at this stage of his career. And this isn't to take anything away from what he once was. And unfortunately for him, despite all the off-the-field nonsense that, he was part of earlier in his career, he unfortunately has had some bad luck when it comes to injuries. His best day, right? His best ever day as a National Football League player in that Super Bowl when he was a member of the Rams. He might have been on his way to winning Super Bowl MVP that day, the way that he was playing. And then yet again, unfortunately, he was victimized by injury, right? And couldn't finish the game. But at this stage of where he's at and where the Giants are at more than anything else, I mean, it's tough to sit there and really justify him getting snaps over some of the other guys that you have at the position. Look, nobody said anything that it's not going to be Malik Neighbors, right? Malik Neighbors is your guy. Malik Neighbors is what Odell was, 12, 13 years ago. That's what Malik Neighbors is. So he is your number one. You saw a small glimpse of what Malachi Fields could potentially do for this offense. I get excited when I see a dude like that, and he has the hops and he's got the size about what he could possibly do, especially in the red zone. You know that the offensive coaching staff, throw in Jaxson Dart, are giddy about seeing some of the prospects that he could bring to the football field. That's why they took him on the second day of this draft. And he's expected to perform a big role for this offense. Everybody else, look, they're all fighting for positions. Darius Slayton is like Mr. All Reliable, even though, Giant fans are kind of sick of him and they thought that they would have moved on from him by now. I get all that stuff. Calvin Austin's a guy who figures to work primarily out of the slot. So where does that leave room for a guy like Odell Beckham Jr.? Don't know. I really and truly don't know. And if you're a fan right now, the good news is that really should not eat up a lot of your thought process. He is what he is. It's kind of like a sentimental thing having him back out there. Nice. But if he makes the team, great. And if he doesn't make the team, I got to be quite honest with you, it's not really that much of a surprise. Because you had to go into this thing realistically expecting that, he might not make the final 53. Given where he is in his career and where this football team is right now. And what they hope to accomplish. But let's hear from John Harbaugh in particular. The sack of Jaxson Dart on Saturday and what unfolded afterwards.
The hit that Jaxson took, what were your feelings at that moment when you saw that happen?
My feelings in that moment was we need to block better. That's what my feeling was.
Was there any hesitation in putting him back in?
No, he was fine.
Okay. You know the old expression, you say a lot by saying a little? That's all you need to know from the head coach. We need to block better. John Harbaugh is one of these old school and look, any football coach will tell you that, but especially a guy like him who is an old school coach, right? Father was a coach, grew up with football. They are not going to I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Barry Sanders. I don't care if it's Walter Payton. I don't care whoever the hell it is. John Harbaugh does not strike me as the type of coach who is going to tolerate a running back who is going to whiff on his blocking assignment to the extent that Tyrone Tracy did on Saturday afternoon and still run that guy out onto the field expecting to get consistent playing time. It's just not going to happen. This is give and take. You think at the end of the day that primarily the job of the running back is to tote the rock and to go out there and, churn out yards? Yes. But you know what? There's another part of this whole football thing, too, if you're a running back. And it's not just catching passes out of the backfield either. You got to block. You have to pull your weight as well. And so that was not necessarily a good start for Tyrone Tracy with a new head coach as far as what is expected of him. Yes, he will have an opportunity to atone for that. He is going to, because they are not going to put somebody out there that is, number one, a liability in that regard, and number two, could potentially lead to their franchise quarterback not being able to get up from one of those hits. So what about going to the blue tent? Here was Jaxson Dart, his reaction to that.
As far as the blue tent, like I really respect the rules and the thought behind, the NFL has of keeping players healthy and reviewing things. But at the same time, I'm still puzzled by it just feeling like every time that I get hit, I just find my way in there, which at times I still try to wrap my head around. But that's all that I'm going to say about that situation.
Like I said, the difference between what transpired Saturday and what we saw from him last year is that he had nothing to do with this. Like, this wasn't him, making one of those runs and maybe taking on a defender and all that. What was he supposed to do? There was a train coming for him, and he was on the tracks. And the quarterback position in the NFL, sometimes you're going to get hit, and he took one. I thought it was an encouraging sign that he was able to get up, and withstand a pop from that, and then 5 minutes later go right back in the game and throw a touchdown pass. That's a win for me. Now, was I surprised that he put him back in the game? Yes, absolutely. 100%. I was surprised. But nobody was any worse for the wear. And I think it also tells you a little bit of the thought process of where this head coach is at right now and what he expects out of his players. Because, look, I'll be totally honest with you. And this might come as a surprise. I'm not a football coach. I'm not. Don't claim to be. Ray's looking at me puzzled. Yes. Yes, Ray. That is the truth. Not a football coach.
Why do you make us call you coach?
I don't. Oh. You know that. That's not fair, not nice. But if I was a coach, okay, I don't think I would have had the you-know-whats to put my franchise quarterback back in the game. And that's why John Harbaugh and I are two different people, right? He said he had no doubt. Once I see on that scoreboard, forget about the fact that I'm in the flow of the game, but once I see on that scoreboard in the stadium, second quarter, and it's the first preseason game, why am I putting my starting quarterback back out on the field? Like I said, thankfully it did not lead to anything, but I do not think that I would have the you-know-whats to make a decision that bold. I mean, second preseason game, maybe. The first one, I don't know about that one. I really and truly don't. Tom Bauer, you are a devout Giants fan. Did you have any issues with how that whole sequence transpired?
In terms of the whole, going into the tent sort of thing?
Not just going into the tent, but the fact that then they put him back in the game.
I mean, it's a little puzzling because I would like to see my quarterback actually take the field when it matters most. But then again, this is something we saw from Jaxson Dart last year as well. So it's kind of just running the exact same course that the Giants have whenever he sustains let's call it a minor injury on the field. You get back up and you go back in the game. I don't really see the problem with that, especially early in the preseason when you want him to maybe get a few more reps. If this were the last game of the preseason, then yeah, maybe let's just wait till week one.
But the difference last year, though, remember, when he was taking on defenders and so on and so forth, this one was unavoidable, right? He got run over by a truck. And so then maybe you think, all right, let's give the kid a day. Let's give him the rest of the afternoon off. That was my thought process. But it wasn't the same as John Harbaugh's, and, nobody was any worse for the wear, so that was good. And I think that's a good sign for the kid, too, because we've seen a lot of quarterbacks over the years. We really and truly have. We've seen QBs who, for whatever reason, some of them can't necessarily withstand the punishment. I'm talking about the physical punishment. Guys take a hit, and then all of a sudden they're down for the count, and then they can't get back in, or they're different, and then they become gun-shy, and then they're going to start getting rid of the football a lot sooner than probably they should, to where their receiver's going to expect it coming, and then it ends up in the arms of a defender. All those things can transpire, over the development process of a young quarterback. And right now, at least Dart is not showing any signs whatsoever that that's going to be an issue for him with this football team. And look, there's still an acclimation period that's going on. Right? I mean, it's not just a new head coach. It's a new offense that they're trying to get the inner workings of and make sure they're all on the same page. This week they're going to go down to Miami. They're going to have one joint practice with the Dolphins, I believe, coming up on Thursday They'll take Friday off, and then they're going to play the preseason game coming up on Saturday. That's going to be another good opportunity, to get some more information on this entire operation, as they should. Look, the Dolphins are not going to be a very good football team this year, so I don't think you need to judge it necessarily on how they perform against Miami because, the Dolphins are going to struggle. But it's more about, what you're doing right. Is everybody on the same page? That's what this whole thing should be about. Is everybody locked in? Assignment-wise, do I know what I'm supposed to do? The guy next to me, do I know what he's supposed to do? If he misses an assignment, am I going to have to be able to step in and make sure I cover his tracks? That's something that comes over time. You can't accomplish all that stuff in just one training camp. The NFL rules don't even allow you to do that anymore because, God forbid, you can only practice X amount of days in a row and X amount of hours and X amount of days. It's not the way that it used to be in any way, shape, or form. So it's especially more challenging now for a team, and I use the Giants as an example, with a new staff, breaking in a new system, to be able to try to teach necessarily your players what you want them to do with the time that's allotted. You can't have two-a-days anymore. Well, if we don't get it ironed out in the afternoon or in the morning, we're going to be able to go get it ironed out in the afternoon. That's not how this thing works. You have to maximize the opportunity that you're given. So Tom was just saying, maybe they felt that being in a preseason game was the best way for all that stuff to come to fruition. And look, the Giants are in a situation, and I'll throw the Jets into this situation too. I don't think I'm breaking any news here. This isn't going to be one of these Boost Mobile things because it's not breaking news. It's the opposite of breaking news. I don't have the records in front of me. Maybe Tom or somebody could, do the arithmetic. But if you go back the last 5 years, roughly, and you take the month of September for the Giants and the Jets and add up those records collectively, how many games under 500 are we talking? Right? Because just off the top of my head, it's not very good. Right? It's not very good. How many football seasons have we had to begin in the last, decade, where it seems like by the time mid-October rolls around, you already have this sense that the season's over already and that nothing good is going to happen because they've already dug themselves too big of a hole, or they're getting off to a 1-5 start or an 0-6 start in some cases. Maybe at best you're 2-4, right? At the very least. And then when you look at the schedules for these two teams for the upcoming season, look at what the Giants have right out of the gate to begin. When you get Dallas at home, who's had the upper hand on you, it seems like forever, and then you have to go out there and play the Rams on Monday Night Football, the Rams team that a lot of people are picking to go win a Super Bowl this year. That is not an easy couple of games right out of the gate. Now, it softens up a little bit for the Giants, to their luck, I would say, with the schedule, so they maybe have a chance to put a couple of wins in their pocket. Jets, on the other hand, I think we've talked about it enough. You know what September has in store for them. That's why, without trying to make too big of a deal out of that first game of the season in Tennessee, that's one that you would like to put in the win column. Because right after that, you're playing 3 straight games against NFC North teams who most people think have eyes to go to the playoffs, with Green Bay, Detroit, and Chicago. So if you don't get that first one, most people in and around the NFL are probably going to think well, there they go. They're going to be 0-4 to start. And how loud do you think the noise is going to be if they start off 0-4? Right? You think that Aaron Glenn and company could really withstand another 0-4 start to this? Last year was 0-7, right? 0-4 seems like you'd throw a parade compared to 0-7, but you don't want to start that way. You'd like to be able to, get some good vibes going early in the season. So when the baseball season is over, you look at the 2 football teams in the standings and where they are, and it's not just, when does basketball start? When do the Knicks raise the banner? For once, you don't want that to have to be the case with either one of these teams. Boy, that would be depressing, wouldn't it? You don't like to think in these terms, but, can we really and truly take another one of these years? Where by the time basketball starts, you're already looking at draft positioning. You're watching college games on Saturday. Which guy should I look out for? Who's the quarterback that I should? I mean, we can't keep doing this. We really and truly can't. Enough is enough. There's supposed to be optimism in the air with both of these teams. Giants, it goes without saying. We talked about it the whole offseason. New coach, Harbaugh era, let's get it going. Jets, all this new talent, right? Year 2 of the program. Get off to a better start, win some games, new schemes, new coordinators. We can't have 0-4. Can't. Won't. Mustn't. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not happening. I'm going to be optimistic. Jets win week 1 in Tennessee. You heard it here first. Bang. That's not really a leap of faith given the fact, what Tennessee has going for them out there. And every time I look at anything or read anything Titans related, it's every other day. Is Cam Ward going to be a bust? Is Cam Ward any good? So they're going through it right now over in the Music City. And people are already kind of starting to question the operation that they have going on over there in Nashville. And is Saleh really the right guy to help develop a quarterback? And in this case, I know he's got Brian Daboll, but still, you know what? Let that process take a little bit longer. More than just week 1. Because the Jets need to go in there and get themselves a victory in the worst possible way. And if you're a Giant fan, it would be great splitting one of these first 2 games as well. Beat the Cowboys at home. You go out there and lose to the Rams, you know what? So be it. Rams are a behemoth this year. But go beat the Cowboys. Yes, Ray.
You wanted September records last 5 seasons.
Oh, boy.
So we're doing 2021 through 2025.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
The New York Jets.
Yeah.
4-13.
Oh, my gosh.
The New York Giants, 1 game better, 5-12.
Oh, see that?
That's combined 9-25 for the month of September from 2021 through 2025.
All right, so do a little math here, right? 9-25, that's 34 games, right? 9 wins. That is a winning percentage, a robust 264. 264. Which is a hair over 25, which is basically you're winning. In the month of September, for the last 5 years, New York football has won 1 out of every 4 games, is what that's telling me. Great. So one Sunday a month, you feel good about things if you're a fan of a team in this city in the month of September over the last 5 years. 9-25. Do we really have to go through this again? Do we really and truly have to go through this again? Because like I said, if the Jets don't get that first one, people are going to forecast just that for them. Giants on paper, the first 2 games, they're going to be underdog in those games before the schedule lightens up a little bit, at least on paper. When we come back, we'll continue the football conversation and do a little sideline to sideline. And remember, less than an hour away, 12:10, Brian Burns going to join us from the New York Football Giants. Graca here with you on this Monday on ESPN New York.
Hey guys, it's Peter Rosenberg. And listen, you know me. I'm always honest about what's going on with my life. And recently, I've just been dealing with some nagging pain that I finally decided I wasn't going to ignore anymore. So I ran into my guy, Dr. Jay Shah at Samwell Pain. Decided to set a meeting. And after we talked, I understood why so many people recommend him. He's Ivy League trained, all right? He's the real deal. He's double board certified, and he takes a non-surgical approach to helping people get back to living their lives. If pain is keeping you from enjoying your summer, don't just live with it. Go check out Samwell Pain. Visit SamwellPain.com. Trust me.
D'Agostino, Law, Bite Back. This is John D'Agostino from D'Agostino & Associates, and I know how a serious accident can change your life just like that.
I'm Jenna D'Agostino, and I understand that with pain comes medical bills and time out of work. Let us get you justice.
This is John Ryan, the closer. For over 35 years, our family has been getting accident victims every dollar they deserve.
I started this firm for the injured so they can bite back against the insurance companies.
Our legacy is to get you justice. Bite back.
To get you paid, bite back.
At D'Agostino and Associates, bite back means fight back. When you're hurt and they blame you, we bite back and get you every dollar you deserve. We have offices throughout New York and New Jersey, so call us first at 1-800-BITE-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222. 1-800-248-3222. I've been there, and I'll be there for you.
Mornings with DiPietro and Rothenberg.
Buster only joins us. Who's a team in the American League right now that should scare Yankees fans a little bit?
All of them. There's so much parity in the American League, it's kind of crazy. So if you told me that the Yankees reached the World Series, I wouldn't be shocked. And if you told me they got knocked out in the first round, that wouldn't shock me either. I don't think they have any idea what they're going to get out of Judge and Stan the rest of the year. Like none.
DiPietro and Rothenberg, morning 6 to 10 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to cars4kids.org now or call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Shh, here it comes. Surprise! The people above your catering business are doing major construction, and the drilling is only during business hours. It's so loud.
Progressive knows small business owners usually don't like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money, getting personalized discounts on a commercial auto quote with Progressive.
Also, that isn't powdered sugar on the floor. It's plaster from your ceiling.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Okay, all signed up. Easy. Now let's run payroll. What the? Hey girl, I'm you with more gusto. Nice. Who's that? New social media manager. Hired and onboarded with gusto. And spoiler, we're kind of famous now. Wait, we're famous? Oh, well, I'm famous. Payroll, benefits, and HR. Designed and built for small businesses. Choose a future with gusto.
(800-919-3776). That is the telephone number. Grassa hanging out with you here on ESPN New York. I'm going to disappear the next couple of days for a little R&R. You know, we try to get in when we can, especially at this time of the year, you know, and football's ready. Football's already started from our standpoint. But I'll be back in on Thursday and Friday. Brian Burns going to join us in about 40 minutes or so. We look forward to that, of the New York Football Giants coming up at 12:10. But right now, I need to turn things over to my good friend. His name is Thomas. His last name is Bauer. He just recently toured the west coast of the United States, going to ballpark after ballpark after ballpark. And now, with all that wisdom that he gained from being on the left coast, he is now going to wow you with a little something we like to call Sideline to Sideline.
It's going to happen.
This is Sideline. To Sideline.
Go.
You know, Dan, with an entrance such as that you just gratefully did for me, I feel like I'm supposed to live up to some sort of standard.
No, you should. You have to.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was really no wisdom gained out on the West Coast. That was just a little R&R, as you said.
How many different ballparks did we hit, by the way, on that trip?
That would be Trace. That's 3 for you, counting at home.
Angels,
Dodgers, San Francisco.
Gotcha. And you didn't see anybody clubbed over the head in the parking lot or anything at either one of those?
No, nothing like that. I was in LA when Turek Skubal got traded to the Dodgers. Unfortunately, the Dodgers decided to announce it 30 minutes after I left the ballpark, so it took away any joy I possibly could have gotten out of that to see Dodger fans react in real time to getting their 5th ace that they traded for.
Yeah, and how's it working out for them in the standings, by the way, right? I mean, not exactly setting the world on fire, those Dodgers. I mean, he didn't pitch horribly yesterday. I thought he pitched okay, but they still lost 3 out of 4 to the Milwaukee Brewers over the weekend. Not good.
All I'm going to say is since I was out the West Coast, Dodgers, not looking so good.
No.
You're welcome, America.
You didn't curse them, did you?
I may have. You don't know.
The Bauer curse.
I did a little Danhausen on them. I cursed them.
Nice.
But I'm not going to uncurse them because it's the Dodgers, and I hate them. So at any rate, let's talk about...
A lot of anger from Tom, don't you think, Ray? I mean, my goodness.
Some pent-up aggression.
Yeah.
At any rate, let's get into some football here. Of course, the big news locally of the day is Breece Hall's groin injury that he sustained in practice. If we have any more updates from the Rich Siminis of the world or from the Jets themselves, we will let you know as the day goes on. But speaking of running backs that sustained leg injuries, Jeremiyah Love, a high ankle sprain, suffered in his preseason game this past weekend. He hopes to return September 13th, the season opener for the Arizona Cardinals, and that pretty much takes away any sort of joy or comfort that one Cardinal fan may take in watching Cardinal football this year.
Did you happen to see, I think it was yesterday or the day before on social media, somebody had tweeted out an injury report, and all they said was, M. LaFleur says that J. Love has an ankle injury.
M. LaFleur says J. Love has an ankle injury.
And people are sitting there wondering, okay, well, who are you talking about? Is it either Matt or Mike LaFleur? And is it Jeremiyah or Jordan Love? Isn't that ironic? That both of the coaches, same initials, and they both have a star player, also J. Love.
See, I don't know if you know this. If you ask me, I think somebody did that on purpose.
I think that's funny, though. It's going to be a fun year. Reporting injuries in the NFL.
Not a fun year for the Cardinals, though, and it's not going to be any funner with
no, they stink.
With Jeremiyah Love out. That's not good. The Dallas Cowboys and Ray Santiago might have a little fun with this. Von Miller, 2-time Super Bowl champion, 7-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler. Those are accolades. And guess what? He's taking those accolades to Dallas. He is a Dallas Cowboy as they look to beef up their defensive front before the season begins. Does that make you any more scared of the Dallas Cowboys this year? An older Von Miller nonetheless, on Dallas.
I don't mind the move. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, Von Miller was still effective enough last year. Didn't he have 8 or 9 sacks last season? So it's situationally, he could still play. And look, I'm under the impression, I mean, Santiago and I have been talking about it on the air, off the air. The fact that Downs fell to them, I think that he is special, even though he's a safety. I think he is going to be so important for that defense. I know you don't want to hear this, but it wouldn't shock me if the Cowboys find a way to win the division this year.
You're thinking over the Eagles?
Quite possibly. It's either they're going to be them or the Eagles, yes. But I think the Cowboys are going to be very good, and I think they're going to get that defense figured out finally.
Now, if they're not winning that division, are the Eagles sacking Nick Sirianni?
He's made the playoffs every single year of his career. And you're gonna kick him out after one season of not making the playoffs potentially?
I mean, listen, if you pay attention to the heat that he sustained last year, whether it's him or Jalen or whatever, who knows?
Yeah, but Tom, was that legitimate or was that just the noise? How were they really feeling within those walls? You know what I'm saying? Or that could have been just the media and the fans and all that stuff, maybe turning up the temperature a lot higher than it actually was in the building.
You know, Philly trying to set their team on fire, sort of thing.
Absolutely, right. What are they? I mean, look at the baseball team. Right now, it looks as if, despite that push that the Phillies had, it looks like the Braves are going to hang on for the division. And Philadelphia right now is no sure thing to even make the playoffs as a wild card. Don Mattingly was the toast of the town 2 months ago because he finally got the Phillies to start playing better baseball. They don't make the playoffs. Guess what? He gone. That's how fast it changes. He gone. But he hasn't built up enough equity in that town like a Nick Sirianni has.
No, poor Don. Any rate.
And plus, he's got Alex Cora, who Dombrowski has a close relationship with. Cora is going to be managing the Phillies.
A close relationship, a working history, I believe. I think they crossed paths in Boston once or twice before. At any rate, former Jet Jamal Adams suffered a season-ending injury at practice, so he will not be participating in any Vikings activities going forward because of said season-ending injury. That's why I call word salad right there.
Yeah, he made that real nice play in the first quarter, too. He had that stop in the backfield, nice tackle for loss, and then I guess he got injured on the touchdown, didn't he, on the Fields touchdown? That it was like an underneath route that he was, I guess, trying to cover, and it was a non-contact injury, and then he goes down, and there's his season in all probability.
Not what you want.
You know what's funny, though, too? Not funny. It's not funny at all. But I was thinking about this the other day, when he unfortunately got hurt again. His father was a pretty high... I don't know if his father, George, was a first-round pick or not. I don't remember. It was either a first- or second-round pick. But his career was essentially ruined by injury, and it was cut short considerably because, he suffered a bad injury. And even though Jamal maybe had a little bit longer of a sustained, successful run as an NFL player than his father did, but at the end, his career it ends up getting cut down because of injury. It's cruel, man.
It's a cruel world out there. This might, the world might, or the NFC, I should say, might get crueler if Aaron Donald decides to return to the football field because it's been hyped up all preseason, and apparently he had his second workout or tryout, however you want to phrase it, with the Rams over the weekend, and it's looking good. Sean McVay said that a decision on Aaron Donald will come soon. However, this is kind of, I guess, words out on his part. What I don't want to do is sit here and put a timeline on it, then something comes up where I have to push it back. That's what McVay said. So if he puts himself in a position where he says yes or no, I think he's earned the right to have clarity on that. We're not at that point yet. I'm hopeful that will be sooner rather than later. So they're saying take your time, but hurry the hell up, Aaron.
What do we? I mean, what's the dilemma? What can they just get this thing over with? If everybody knows he's going to play, right?
If it's really taking this long, either A, they're trying to work out some sort of contract deal, or B, if you're really weighing a 50-50 decision here on whether you want to play football or not, if it were me in his boots, and I'm still 50-50 at this point, then I probably don't want to play football.
I think the other part of this thing, too, is they're probably trying to, not to say that the examples are exactly the same, but remember, the last couple of years, when Brett Favre would do his, am I playing, am I not playing, am I playing, am I not? None of these guys, towards the end, they like training camp, right? They hate training camp. Even though it's scaled back compared to the way that it used to be. Aaron Donald probably doesn't want to have to go through the rigors of camp on a day-in, day-out basis. Camps are, officially going to be, ending soon. I think the Jets only have, 3 or 4 more actual training camp practices. I guarantee you, once all that stuff is done, and then you're back into more of, a regular season type of rhythm, even though it's still preseason football, that's when you're going to see a guy like Aaron Donald decide to say, hey, I'm playing, guys. Suit me up.
I don't know.
That's all I got.
I just want him to make a decision soon.
I'm telling you, that's what it is.
Yeah, I've got a fantasy draft coming up. I need to know whether or not I'm going to be drafting the Rams or not.
Well, the Rams defense is going to be good with or without him, Tom.
I was going to say, but they could be even better. Maybe then that's hey, I got to jump up around and get the Rams defense.
It's a top 5 defense, I think, without him. So if you have him with him, he's still a top 5 defense.
Yeah, of course. At any rate, so this isn't really news here. This is just more speculation on ESPN's part, but I find this a little interesting. So the NFL future power rankings. They asked a few analysts on ESPN to evaluate where teams are going to be sitting about 3 years from now in 2027, 2028, and 2029, and kind of did a little future preview of each team. and how they'd rank amongst the 32 teams. Do you want to take any guess whether or not ESPN is feeling favorable about the Giants or Jets and where they might rank amongst those 32 teams?
All right, so you said what years are these supposed to be?
They're looking at 2027, 28, and 29.
27, 28, and 29.
And here are the categories.
Okay.
Overall roster excluding quarterback, coaching, and front office.
Now, do they have a ranking for each year, or do they just kind of like collectively have one ranking number for those like that 3-year period?
It is a collective period.
I would have to say that maybe they have. I'm going to be optimistic. How about this? I'm going to say that they would have both teams middle-ish of the pack.
Middle of the pack. So we're thinking between, like, let's say 12 and 20?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, you know, you got a new regime with John Harbaugh, the Joe Shane of it all. That's not new. But you got John Harbaugh there. You got a future quarterback. You know, you got Darren Muji. He's got some picks. He's looking like a pretty good GM in the making, maybe. No.
No.
You would be wrong. Keep going lower.
Really?
That's right.
We're talking like 20s, like bottom third of the league?
Oh, you bet.
For both teams?
That's right.
Really?
The Giants sit at number 22. So I guess that's some sort of rising optimism because I feel like anybody would have put the Giants from like 25 down in the past few years. The New York Jets, I mean, if I already had to tell you they're in the 20s, then you already know they're not going to be viewed favorably. 29th in the NFL. The highest remark, of course, comes at the front office, but everywhere else in terms of the coaching and all that, they rank coaching last. And then quarterback and overall roster, excluding the quarterback, they rank from 23 to 29.
Can I be so bold and to ask who they have in like the top 5 of these rankings? Do you have that information handy?
The top 5 teams in these rankings.
Correct.
Absolutely. Number 5, which actually surprises me, is the Rams. Looking forward, they value everything highly except for the quarterback looking in the future.
Right.
So I guess you have that. Then they've got the Broncos, Lions at number 3, Eagles, and Seahawks are number 1.
Okay. So, with the exception of the Lions, 4 teams out of the top 5 were in the playoffs last year. 1 just happened to win the Super Bowl last year.
Mm-hmm.
Another team was a recent Super Bowl winner.
Correct.
Another team was in the NFC Championship game, as well as a team in the AFC Championship game. So the one little surprise maybe in that group are the Lions, right? Because they missed the playoffs last year, and they were in the NFC Championship game just a few years ago, and probably should have won that game if not for their head coach. And do they still assume that Dan Campbell's still going to be the guy in Detroit from 2027 to 2029?
Yeah, that's the assumption.
Okay. So really there's not a lot of imagination on this list is what I'm gathering because the teams that they have at the top are the teams at the top currently. And like you said, they have the Jets at 29, which is kind of like where probably they had finished last year. And you have the Giants at 22, which is only a slight bump up from where they ended last season as well.
Yes, the moral of the story here is New York continues to be counted out in this regard. So you know what? You got to play the role of underdog. Go prove that you can win.
The moral of the story that I take is that it's August 17th.
Yes.
And these websites need content, so they're going to go out there and write a bunch of gobbledygook and come up with these arbitrary rankings, which if anybody is going to lose sleep over what they think the teams are going to be or not be in 2028 or much less 2029, I would advise you to go out there and maybe get your hands on a nice good book and maybe kick back and read and get your mind off things.
I think that's a good suggestion.
What do you think?
Or maybe a good movie.
Or a movie. Exactly. How about the Odyssey in IMAX? I hear it's very popular.
Oh, there you go. But only the IMAX version because the other versions are not superior.
Did you see that, Tom?
I have not. I am not too interested in going to see a 3+ hour movie in a theater.
So that's not for you?
Not for me. Although I'm very intrigued by it because everybody's saying like it's a very good movie.
I can't see Ray going to that. There's no way in hell I could see Ray sitting through a movie for 3 hours.
No, that has not happened.
Ray wouldn't sit through an infomercial for 3 minutes in a theater, much less a 3-hour movie. It's like, I'm good. What do I need super strong tape for to cover a leak in my tiling? I'm good.
That was Sideline to Sideline, by the way.
And by the way, let me add one more little element to it. Did you see our good buddy Zach Wilson and what he did in his Saints debut?
No.
On Saturday afternoon. Oh, did he spin it? Oh, did he spin it? He was like 16 of 21, a buck. I don't know. I can't remember. Like a buck 14 through a touchdown, I think. Oh, Zach Wilson, all the rage in Cajun country. Look out, Saints. Look out, world. Here comes Zach Wilson.
Some might call him a raging Cajun.
He might be. Please. Look, that's why the whole pump the brakes thing from the 2 series with Cade Klubnik on Friday night, I give you Zach Wilson with the New Orleans Saints on Saturday afternoon is all you need to know about that it's still preseason. Remember, Brian Burns going to join us at 12:10. That's right, he of the New York Football Giants. Let's get some calls up at 800-919-3776. Grassa sitting with you here on ESPN New York.
Hey, Yankees fans. Join us at Yankee Stadium on Friday, August 21st, as the Yankees take on the Toronto Blue Jays. And don't miss Cody Bellinger Bobblehead Night, presented by T-Mobile. The first 18,000 guests through the gates will take home an exclusive Cody Bellinger bobblehead. Get here early, grab the giveaway, and cheer on the Bronx Bombers. Tickets are available now at Yankees.com/tickets.
If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, then you need a lawyer who knows New York's unique personal injury and workers' compensation laws. At the Parisman Firm, they have decades of experience handling all types of accident cases and a proven track record of delivering huge results. Their team has already recovered nearly $1 billion for injured New Yorkers. From construction to car accidents and slips and falls, they've got you covered. Call the Parisman Firm now at 718-WORKERS, where your case is their cause. Get the justice you deserve today.
There you were, surrounded by fans. Everybody remembers the game. Nobody remembers the guy coughing behind you. Till a few days later, at 2 a.m., you wake up with a fever and your throat's on fire. Now what? Urgent care? Closed. ER? Slammed. Telehealth? Maybe, but the pharmacy's closed. You needed a medical emergency kit. These aren't first aid kits. They contain essential prescriptions used for over 30 common conditions. Sinus and ear infection, UTIs, stomach bugs, traveler's diarrhea, and more on hand before you need them. Use your doctor-developed guidebook to select the right prescription or call their telemedicine doctor standing by. It's like an urgent care and drugstore at home. When you're sick, traveling, or stranded, you'll wish you'd ordered a medical emergency kit. Order online in minutes and it's shipped to your door. And save $45 with my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880. That's promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880.
This is Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg.
I'm telling you right now, I'm buying stock in 96.
I might be buying a jersey.
This kid, Lombard, is not overhyped. This kid is exactly the goods. And it doesn't mean he's not going to have a bad game every now and then. There's a way people move and act and talk that tell you, oh, yeah, it's in him. Now it's a matter of sit back and let's watch it happen.
Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. Weekdays at 3 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
Hi, this is Don LaGreca. Just like the New Jersey Devils bring intensity on the ice, Viking Pest Control brings the same level of protection to your home. And I know because I use Viking at my own place. The season may be over, but pests are always in play. So it's time to lock in your off-season defense. As the pest control provider and proud partner of the Devils, Viking delivers 45 years of trusted experience to keep ants, cockroaches, stinging insects, rodents, mosquitoes, and more out of your zone. And when you bundle pest control mosquito services, you score big savings. One call, one company, total peace of mind. Visit VikingPest.com, protecting your home inside and out.
Are you ready to make a difference for the environment while helping the visually impaired at the same time? Then donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind today by calling 1-800-983-6530. Every donated vehicle will either be properly recycled in an eco-friendly manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-983-6530 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 1-800-983-6530 right now to schedule your vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-983-6530 now. This advertisement is paid for by Heritage for the Blind.
Congratulations, New York. The Knicks did it. Through battle after battle, they dominated to become this year's NBA champions. Day in and day out, the hard work paid off. And you were there every step of the way. Enjoy the crown. Own it, because this year is your year. A part of your legacy that will never be forgotten. So celebrate this moment, show your pride, and shop the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
Grassa here on ESPN New York at 800-919-3776. Brian Burns. Yeah, that Brian Burns of the New York Football Giants. He's going to join us coming up right here on this very radio show, coming up at 12:10, so about 20 minutes from now. You'll hear a lot. Right, Ray? I mean, is that the word on the street? A lot of Giant representation on the channel for the rest of the day? Is that accurate? So I've been told?
Yes, we will have General Manager Joe Shane. We'll be on with Michael.
Really?
Later. And we are expecting Jaxson Dart, Isaiah Likely, Andrew Thomas, all on with the Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg.
What about Phil McConkey?
No.
No.
Webster Slaughter is not coming on later.
Well, Webster Slaughter was never a Giant.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
You know.
But Aaron Glenn referenced him, and it's such a great name that we decided to bring it up right now.
I'm not gonna. I know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna save that for, because Tom, you have audio files still to come before the show is over, correct?
Oh, you sure bet.
So that's where you save that one for the audio files, because it's that special. So there you go. A lot of Giants on the channel for the rest of the day. Burns, Shane, Dart, Thomas. Which one? And
Likely.
Likely.
Likely's likely.
What about John Harbaugh?
I don't believe so.
That's a bit. Why? Come on. Come on. No. What about Matt Nagy? No?
I don't know how many people are nagging for that one.
What about CC Mawinoa, brother of Kiko Mawinoa?
I wish. I would actually like to hear from him, but
what about Arvell
no.
Reese?
No Arvell Reese.
No. We'll talk to Brian Burns about Arvell Reese. I guarantee you that. There'll be an Arvell Reese related question. So you want to stay tuned for that. So Giant Day here on the station. Keep it locked in as you would ordinarily anyhow. 800-919-3776. Andy is in the car. We hear from him next here on ESPN New York. Hello, Andy. How are you?
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
Andy, I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm driving north, heading up to the Cape Cod through the rain here.
Beautiful.
But enjoying the show. Love the Jets talk. And I can tell you, Odyssey. I don't think you need to go to the IMAX. We sat through the IMAX. We went to the regular theater. Plenty loud enough. I mean, I don't know how much more sound or visuals you could get. It was overwhelming to begin with.
So you saw it at you saw it at the regular theater, not the IMAX, and you said you still were able to ascertain the full experience, regardless.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old or whatever, but first 2.5 hours are great. Last 30 minutes, wrap this up, but.
That's always
definitely worth it.
See, Andy, that's always the question that I ask. Not to be one of those guys. I love film. I love cinema. But I always ask one of those questions whenever you're talking about like a 3-hour movie. I'm like, the first one is always, can they have wrapped it up any sooner? Did it have to be 3 hours? And from what you're telling me, it sounds like they could have maybe done a little bit of a better job with the editing and left some stuff on the floor.
Just the last half hour, it's like. You know what's going to happen, and then it was very slow. And then that kid Tom Holland, I guess he's the Spider-Man. I don't know who he was.
Yeah,
he's like Spider-Man now. Everybody, he looked like not too effective as the new. His father, Matt Damon, is fighting 30 guys. and this guy could barely beat one guy over the last 30 minutes. I'm like, this is going to be the new king?
So Ray, what we got to do is we'll put in a call to Christopher Nolan's office and tell him poor job of Tom Holland with the casting, that if, they want to maybe do a sequel, maybe look in another direction is what they're saying.
Absolutely. You may as well put Brady Cook in there. I mean,
why? I mean, you know what, Andy? I don't want to be that guy, but guess what? In a few more weeks, he might have some time on his hands. So you never know. Anything is possible.
I can't look at his little face in the helmet.
No, he tries. Like he's a good dude. He's working hard. I hope sure things work out for him.
I got a lot of optimism though. I was telling the producer that I put down some futures bets. I bet the Jets are going to make the playoffs, and I even took a chance on winning the division. And I'll tell you why. I mean, and I got $100 to get $1,700, but I feel like they should be able to run the ball very well, as long as those tackles stay upright. Gino just has to not throw too many picks, and I think they'll have an effective offense. I love all these guys they brought in, these lunch pail guys on defense, and I can't even pronounce all their names, but from Cincinnati and from Green Bay, and of course getting our man back at linebacker. I think they'll be. It's not that hard to make the playoffs. That's what's so terrible. 15 years is ridiculous.
Andy, I think you hit it right on the head, though, when you said it's not that, when you say it's not that difficult to make the playoffs, well, then why haven't they figured it out for 15 years if it's not that hard? You know what I mean? I hear what you're saying, right? Like, in theory, it shouldn't be that hard, not 15 years worth of a drought, but hopefully things are on the up and up. And, we didn't even mention it, too. There were a couple of guys who returned to the field today on defense. Tavondre Sweat, who was the big nose tackle, who they got in the Jermaine Johnson trade from Tennessee, who's tipping the scales at 360 pounds, allegedly. And Joseph Asai, the linebacker who they signed from the Cincinnati Bengals, two guys who figure to play prominent roles on that defense. They've been sidelined with injury. Sweat hasn't been on the field yet at all for training camp. So it was nice to see him out there today, finally getting some work in, hopefully rounding into form to be able to go out there and get some reps during the preseason. Because, look, they've beefed up that defensive line. They got pushed around last year in the run game. They should have some dudes there between Sweat, Darrell Jaxson, who they drafted from Florida State in the 4th round, who's a monster, Onyemata, who they signed as a free agent. Obviously, with Harrison Phillips, Briggs is a big. They've got some LBs on that defensive line, which hopefully should eat up a couple of blocks and allow those linebackers to go out there and make some plays when it comes to the running game. All right, 2 hours down. One more to play with. This is going to be a jam-packed final 60 minutes. Brian Burns, the All-Pro from the New York Football Giants, will join us at about 12:10. Tom will give you a little audio files before we send things off to Michael coming up at 1 o'clock. Grassa hanging out with you here on a Monday. It's ESPN New York.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Call 877 Cars for Kids to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org.
7 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
This is the Michael K. Show.
Talking with Alex Rodriguez, what you've seen of Lombard, what do you think?
It's amazing when you have a plus defender at short, how it makes your entire team better defensively. Lombard can do for the Yankees defensively and for those great pitchers what Aaron Judge does for the offense. That's how good Lombard can be.
The Michael K. Show, weekdays at 1 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube. Presented by the Parisman Firm.
Tricon Construction is growing across New Jersey, delivering larger, more complex commercial projects with the precision today's developers expect. Because when the timelines, capital, and reputation are all on the line, you need more than a contractor. You need a true construction partner. Tricon brings experienced leadership, disciplined project management, and a team built around accountability and execution. From planning to completion, they build with purpose, professionalism, and pride. For serious commercial projects, build with Tricon. Visit TriconBuilds.com. That's TriconBuilds.com.
When care matters most, experience matters more. The Allure Group is redefining rehabilitation and long-term care across New York with 6 convenient locations. Their expert clinicians create personalized care plans to help you recover, rebuild, and get back to what matters most. From short-term rehab to long-term care, Allure is committed to comfort, dignity, and results. To learn more, visit allurecare.com. The Allure Group, where care meets compassion.
In a world parched for excitement, one drink will emerge. Twisted Tea, the refreshing thrill ride of flavor. Recreating its classic role as the hard iced tea that goes down smooth. Twisted Tea doesn't just taste like real iced tea, it's made with real brewed tea and a 5% kick of alcohol. Taste the adventure with Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Kenny here to help you ignite your taste buds with Firework Freeze 5-Hour Energy Shots. Juicy cherry, citrus lime, and blue raspberry. It's that iconic freezer pop flavor, but with none of the guilty sugar aftermath. The perfect summer kick. It's a delicious, portable, zero-sugar energy shot bursting with flavor. Bring on summer with Firework Freeze 5-Hour Energy Shots. Available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon.
ESPN New York is your home for the world champion New York Knicks. WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York.
Yes, indeed. Hour number 3 on this Monday. Chris, little R&R for him this week. Grassa hanging out with you at 800-919-3776. We'll take it right up until 1 o'clock. Then it is TMKS, the Michael K. Show, which will come your way at Dan Grassa's, where you can get me on the socials. And in case you're just joining us, been a busy program. Brian Burns, the outstanding All-Pro from the New York Football Giants is going to join us in about 10 minutes, and it's going to be a lot of Giant guests that you're going to hear for the rest of the day right here on ESPN New York. So we thank the Giants for all the help. They're not able to get out to training camp this year for a day, so Giants hooking us up with some guests on the phone, and Brian Burns is going to be first one up here in about 10 minutes, so we look forward to talking to him. Jets had a little bit of news, which thankfully turned out to be much ado about nothing in the grand scheme of things, thankfully. Breece Hall went down with an injury at practice this morning, one of those, non-contact type of deals, but it turns out that it's just a groin, according to Aaron Glenn, and they think they avoided the worst-case scenario. I mean, he might be down for a couple of days and this and that, but not anything too debilitating, which is certainly good news, and we know how important Breece Hall is to the overall effectiveness of this Jets offense and what they hope to be in 2026. So some good news coming out of an injury situation in Florham Park earlier today. Jets will be back at it on Friday night in Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers for their second preseason game. And the Giants, who are still in these parts, are going to be flying down to Miami on Wednesday. They're going to have a joint practice with the Dolphins on Thursday before they step out onto the field and play a preseason game on Saturday afternoon in the sweltering heat of South Florida. So that is the football situation here on this Monday. We talked about the Yankees earlier in the program. Good for them salvaging a game in the weekend series, winning a game in extra innings, which has not exactly been the easiest thing in the world for this baseball team all throughout the year. They needed that win in the worst way. And oddly enough, they were actually able to gain a game on the Tampa Bay Rays because Tampa, after winning 9 straight games on the West Coast, has come back home and they've lost the first 3 of 4. to the Baltimore Orioles. They'll wrap up that series later on today, but the fact that Tampa Bay lost 3, Yankees get 1, they now move to within 6 in the loss column of the first-place Rays. And as I've been saying, look, you can't think about first place at this point. Go out there and fix your offense if you're the Yankees. Cody Bellinger, you got good news on the rehab front from Aaron Boone yesterday that Bellinger is going to begin a rehab assignment later this week. And then hopefully, he's back in pinstripes this weekend, or you want to say next weekend, or maybe even sometime here next week. And then the other 2 will hopefully follow not long after. Judge is playing catch, which is a good sign. Stanton has begun a running program. But certainly the first of the 3 is going to be Cody Bellinger to make his return to the big league club here sooner rather than later. Yanks are off today before they get back out on the field tomorrow against the Baltimore Orioles in what is now an important series at Camden Yards, because don't look now, Baltimore has a playoff spot. As you and I are talking right now, all 4 teams in the American League East would be playoff teams right now. It would be Tampa Bay, the Yankees, Boston, and Baltimore as your 4 playoff teams in the American League, with all 3 wild cards coming from this division. Might change, might stay the same. Remember, the rest of the American League stinks, and Baltimore even has a losing record right now, but yet they still have that number 3 wild card for the time being. Mets, on the other hand, you know what? Good job by the Mets. Seriously. I know they're dead and buried. They're not making the playoffs. They're not going to have any miracle runs. This isn't, 1973. It's not going to happen, okay? But at least they're playing a more enjoyable brand of baseball. And for yo-yos like me, who like watching baseball and who still enjoy each and every day in the summer sitting down and watching a baseball game, it's certainly a more watchable product than it was for the first 4 months. And I know that if you're a fan, you're probably sitting there saying to yourself, well, where the hell was this in April, May, June, and July? Right? Where they waved the white flag, they're sellers at the deadline, and now they're going out there and they're playing winning ball. I mean, they've won 9 out of 12 since the deadline. The bullpen, which they basically lit a torch to and got rid of everybody that wasn't nailed down, essentially, that bullpen with a bunch of no-names has actually gone out there and pitched really, really well. The likes of the Daniel Duartes and the Nate Lavenders and, the Jeffrey Yan with his jumping up and down after strikeouts. And who would have thought in a million years? You want to talk about surprises. What has happened with Kodai Senga? I mean, this is a guy that, let's face it, most Met fans probably would have been content if they never saw him on the mound again in a Met uniform, even though the chances of that were probably unlikely because he was still owed $14 million next year on the contract. But Mets put him in the bullpen. He's gone out there. He's only pitching an inning at a time. He's not having to think as much. He's not able to use his entire repertoire of pitches, which, as we know, has gotten him into trouble in recent times. He's really using a 2-pitch mix to get hitters out, using the forkball, which is one of his strengths, of course, and he's gone out there and had really, really good results. He's 3 for 3 when it comes to save opportunities. Now, he still hasn't pitched on back-to-back days. Maybe tonight as he gets the chance against the San Diego Padres because he closed out the game yesterday. That's what a closer has to do, right? And they've been very careful with Senga since he's been here more as a starting pitcher that, they've given him the extra day of rest because in Japan it was once every 6 days. Let's see him go out there and pitch on back-to-back days before we can sit here and say, well, this guy's closer material. Who the heck knows? Right now it's a extremely small sample size, but you got to like what you've seen. And maybe he's putting himself in the conversation to be that 9th inning guy next year. I mean, I know that Devin Williams isn't going anywhere. I mean, David Stearns, made sure he gave him a 3-year deal or whatever it was, so he's still under contract for a couple of more seasons. But who's to say that Devin Williams is even going to come back at all this season with the shoulder issue that he has? And in the meantime, pitch Senga. Why not? Why the heck not? He's got the cool entrance music with the Beat It by Michael Jackson, although he did miss an opportunity here. I'll be the first to admit. If he was going to go Michael Jackson, he should have went Thriller. That was the no-brainer. With the ghost fork and the scary and all that stuff. Like, Thriller was a no-brainer for his entrance. And that could have been as good of an entrance song as there is in all of Major League Baseball. Right? You think about, like, they turn the lights down as that song is just getting going. And then when it kicks in, like, da-na, then the lights go, ba-na. That would be great. But maybe if he becomes the guy, they can make the necessary tweak moving forward. And that would be one hell of a revival story if Kodai Senga sticks around as a legitimate back end of the bullpen option. for the New York Mets. I mean, like, I thought I've seen it all. You know, I never would have bought that one, though, in a million years. And I'll tell you something else, too, about next season for the Mets. Let's be real about it, right? Has Andy Green put himself, and not even just him, because remember, this was never his intention, his words, the organization, that when he took over, he was a guy that was just minding the store for the rest of the year, and then he was going to go back to the front office at the end of the season. Has Andy Green maybe altered the organization's thinking that maybe he should be the manager next year? Right? He's obviously working with a depleted deck, and he's now a .500 manager for the New York Mets. He's 22 up and 22 down. And like I said, they're playing a more fun brand of baseball. He's still without Juan Soto, among others, only their best player. And yet they've still gone on there and won games since the trade deadline. And look, the schedule is going to get a lot tougher. It will. They still have to play Milwaukee next week, and the Houston Astros are coming in, and, you got a couple of road trips that are not going to be easy. Teams still playing for something, obviously. Padres tonight, that's not going to be an easy series. San Diego coming in, they're playing as well as anybody in baseball. I think they've won like 17 of 22 because the Padres dudes that kind of weren't playing well the first half of the season, they're now playing well. Manny Machado's swinging the bat. Tatis is swinging the bat. Guys like that. The two starting pitchers they went out and got at the deadline, Casey Mize, Robbie Ray, they're spinning the ball. You got Mason Miller at the back end of that bullpen. So the Padres aren't going to be easy, and tonight's a good test for Nolan McLean. Anytime he steps on the mound, you want to see McLean do well. And for some reason, McLean has been fighting it at home this year. Like, if you look at his home road splits, we talked about this, I think it was last week. Like, Cam Schlittler's the same thing. Like, both of these young guys, they're much better this year on the road than they've been at home. I don't know why that is, to be quite honest with you. But nevertheless, this is a real good test tonight for McLean, who pitched really well his last time out in Atlanta, just made the one mistake, gave up the home run to Ozzie Albies, I think it was, the solo home run, and that was it. And then he walked off a tough luck loser, just giving up the one run. So hopefully tonight they give him some run support, and the Mets keep these winning ways going and trying to play spoiler for a Padres team that has designs now on sneaking into the playoffs as a wild card. 800-919-3776. That is the telephone number as we await Brian Burns of the New York Football Giants, who is going to join us here in just a few moments. But right now, let's say hi to our buddy Richard in Manhattan, who's been waiting. Hello, Richard. How are you? Rich, you there? Oh, let's get him up here. Okay. There he goes. Hi, Rich. How are you?
Hi, Dan. Dan, the Mets are the hottest team in baseball right now. Okay, you can look it up.
Them are the Padres, one or the other.
Right? And they've won 3 straight, the Mets, recently, too. 2 weeks ago, Dan, if I called you up and I said, Dan, there are 2 players in New York that are pretty low in Major League Baseball on the Yankees and Mets. Anthony Volpe and Kodai Senga. Mm-hmm. Who's lower? Who would you have said was lower?
I would have said Senga because...
Me too.
Yeah, 100%.
And look what happened. Look at that. So please, Yankee fans, Volpe can do what Bobby Mercer did in 1965. They tried to make him a shortstop. They brought him to the minor leagues. He came back as center fielder. Dan, we have a situation in the American League East, never happened in all 4 major sports, where every team can finish 500 or better. And it's a chance, a possibility. It could happen. I'd love to see it. Now, Weathers outdueled Dylan Cease yesterday. Yankee fans don't call up and say, what a job Cashman did. He got us our number 4 pitcher who outdueled the number one of the contenders for the Cy Young Award. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's your number 4. So please, Yankees, let's just get to the playoffs and we can do just like the Knicks did. Now, American League Cy Young. I've never seen this in 65 years of following baseball. You may have 3 pitchers in a 3-way tie for the Cy Young. Dylan Cease, Cam Schlittler, and Sonny Gray. That'll be unbelievable. Unbelievable. I want to see it. Now, the kid Baez on St. Louis, he returned to earth yesterday in his second game, 0 for 5 and struck out 3 times. Great story, though. I mean, the 1,000,001 shot was the first game when he
Rich, I got to let you go because, as promised, we are now joined by our guest, outstanding all-pro pass rusher from the New York Football Giants, and we're nice that he's able to join us today. It is, of course, Brian Burns, who gives us a couple of minutes here on the program. Brian, it's Dan Graca here on ESPN New York. Thanks for joining us today. How are you?
No problem. Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good, Brian. Thanks for joining us today, man. I appreciate it. So
Sure.
how was the whole experience down in West Virginia at the Greenbrier? A little bit of a departure for training camp. What do you think you guys got from it?
It was a bit different, but mainly it was, great for us to, be able to bond with each other. We were stuck in the rooms and whatnot, so we had a lot of time to, play cards, get to know one another. But it was a great experience.
And how about this start to the season for you, right? I mean, everybody remembers, even though the team didn't necessarily have that collective success last year, you had your best season by far. You made the All-Pro. You were in terror when it came to getting the quarterback. Coming off of last year, what do you hope to take with you from 2025 and use with you to benefit in 26?
Man, really just to build off of what I've already done and show that I could do it again. There's a couple other pieces I would like to add to my game or improve in my game, but for the main thing, just remaining consistent, making sure my body's up to par for the rest of the season so I can still play at a high level.
Did you change any of your off-season workouts or anything you do to get ready for the season off of the year that you had last year?
No, I wouldn't say I changed anything. If anything, I just got a little bit more detailed about what the things that I already do. That's about it. I didn't change any of my programs.
Talking with Brian Burns here on ESPN New York, one thing that did change, well, a few things changed, of course, for the football team, but most notably you got a new head coach in John Harbaugh. You got a new defensive coordinator in Denard Wilson. What has that transition been like for you, not just with a new head coach, but now trying to learn a new scheme defensively?
Yeah. Oh, it's been awesome. His scheme is it's one of the more complex schemes I've been a part of. If you can do that with a defense, if you can really be detail-oriented with a defense and have a complex scheme, you can really, create your own opportunities and your own takeaways. So that's mainly the main thing that this defense has to be is very detailed with everything that we got going on. But I have faith in the guys. I trust the guys, and everybody's working tirelessly to get it done. So,
I'm curious, like you as a player, right, when you get a new coach coming in, and certainly Coach Harbaugh is somebody who's been around for a long time and has had a lot of success, do you talk to maybe some other guys that you know around the league that played for him in the past, kind of picking their brains as to what to expect and, what's it going to be like having him as a coach? Do you do any of that in terms of getting ready for the season and then playing for a new coach?
Oh, yeah, I talked to some guys. The main thing they told me, like, he's going to work you, but it's fair. And they told me, like, this type of character, like, he's a stand-up guy, and I've been able to see that for myself. Him just being a man of his word. And I guess from a game standpoint, I was told that, he's going to take control. He's going to be, that game manager that we need, that head coach that we need to make the tough calls and make the right decisions for us down the stretch to win the game. So that's all great things. And I mean, his basically like his motto and his repertoire speaks for itself. So, he's highly successful. So, that's the main thing.
I'll tell you, this is your third year with the team, but you become already one of the elder statesmen on that defense. With Dexter Lawrence now playing in Cincinnati, do you look at yourself maybe as taking on more of a leadership role, especially on that side of the football?
I don't think it's anything different. I mean, I've always been the leader for a while now. Voted captain a lot of times. So I don't take anything. I'm sorry, I got teammates in front of me, but
that's all good.
I don't take anything different from the last season or last couple seasons. If anything, I just take more pride in my position, and I really do take a lot of pride in that because I don't want to let my teammates down. I want to be somebody that they can depend on in the crunch time. So.
Well, talking about some of those teammates, I mean, I look at you guys, and especially in the front seven of the defense, and me as a football fan, I'm excited to see what you guys could do, and especially those contingent linebackers, not just yourself, but we've seen the start that Arvell Reese has gotten off to. Let's start with him. What has he brought to that defense? And you always hear the expression, the sky is the limit with a player like that. Just how exciting a player can he be, and what are you doing to help take him under your wing a little bit?
He brought a lot of versatility and a lot of aggression. He's very violent. He triggers very fast. He's downhill. His God-given ability is, you can see that on the tape, from his speed, from his strength. The only thing that I can really help him with as far as, like, just football is, more so just seeing things for what it is, not playing every down like the same down, understanding situations, critical moments, and basically how the offense is trying to attack us is the main things that I can help him out with. And that comes with experience. But, him being such a young player, he doesn't have that yet, which he'll attain, through time in his league. But the more that me, Tremaine, KT can help him out with that part of the game within the game, the better he'll be.
And you went through this last year with Abdul Carter, who was a rookie. What difference have you seen from Abdul year one versus now getting ready for his second season?
Man, I expect Abdul to have a huge year. Like I said, every all these guys that you're going to name, their ability it speaks for itself on the film. But Abdul, he's doing the extra mile when it comes to the meeting room, comes to the classroom. A thing that he struggled with, he said he's improving this year is, knowing the play or knowing what's coming before it comes. That's the game within the game. And like I said, that comes with experience, but him taking the extra mile of watching extra film and being a little more detailed when it comes to our assignments is what's going to take him to the next step, and he's going to have a monster year. I already know.
Brian Burns joining us here on ESPN New York. You had the All-Pro season last year, 16.5 sacks. What are your goals for the season, you individually? What do you want to accomplish this year?
My goals mainly stay the same. I don't really get in too many specifics, but all I can say is that the main goal is to have my best year yet. So that's all I can really tell you. But for the most part, I still got some room to grow. I made second team All Pro, so that add the tip of my shoulder to get first team. So I guess I can give you that
20 sacks a possibility?
I can give you that nugget.
Hey, if you're getting 20 sacks, that means the rest of the defense is eating too, and you guys are winning a lot of football games, so I'm sure that you'll sign up for that. A couple more here for you, Brian. I know that, the Knicks just captured the city's imagination winning a championship in June, and I'm sure you were here to see some of that, of course. As somebody who's playing the other sport here in town with football, do you look at what the Knicks did and think to yourself, boy, I wish that we could give the Giant fans and football fans here in this city a taste of that and what that would be like to experience from your side of things?
Definitely, no doubt. The Knicks going out there and taking care of business, bringing back the championship to the city. That's something that we definitely watched, and, that inspired us, and I feel like that should be, I wouldn't say on the forefront of our mind, but that's definitely something that's in the back of our mind as far as, that would be great to bring, the Giants fans, the New York itself. We've been waiting a while to win, so, I feel like it's no better time than now.
No doubt about that. Giant fans would echo that sentiment. Last thing, for somebody whose nickname is Spider-Man, have you seen the new Spider-Man movie yet?
I watched it twice already.
Watched it twice already. So, obviously you're giving it a thumbs up then if you saw it twice, right?
Yeah, definitely. I saw it twice within 4 days or something like that. But, I definitely give it a thumbs up for sure. That was a good movie. I liked it a lot.
Wouldn't expect anything. Yeah, go ahead.
I know. I was just gonna say I definitely wouldn't expect anything different. But Zendaya and Tom did a great job. I ain't gonna nerd it out too much right now, but it was an amazing movie. I'll say that.
And they introduced some new characters too. I haven't seen it yet myself. I have to, but it's hard to keep up with all these Marvel movies, Brian. You know what I mean? And now, with the Avengers, and all these other new characters that are coming up at the one later in the year. We got to play catch up with all these guys. You know what I'm saying?
Now, fact, but the main thing you do, you just got to go on YouTube, and they have so many breakdowns of what's going on in the Marvel universe and everything. You just got to catch up because it is a lot to keep up with if you're not, doing the extra to try to find out what's going on.
My head is spinning in the metaverse, you know what I'm saying, trying to keep up with that. But I'll go on YouTube and check it all out. So that's cool. Hey, Brian, you know what? Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it, man. Best of luck on the upcoming season, and we'll do this again real soon.
For sure. I got you. More love.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brian. That's Brian Burns of the New York Football Giants. So there he goes. If you haven't seen Spider-Man yet, 2 thumbs up from Brian. And would you expect anything less? His nickname is Spider-Man. And then if you're like me, and you're completely confused with all the Marvel stuff and all the different characters and new movies, and you can't watch all these things, you go on YouTube, and they'll set you straight when it comes to the Marvel Universe. But more importantly, you heard him say there what it means for this Giants defense with, obviously, Arvell Reese, Abdul Carter, year number 2. A lot of things to get excited about. No, by the way, number 0 is pretty darn good at his own craft as well. Lot to do still at 800-919-3776. On this busy Monday. When we come back, your calls and a trip to the audio files as well. Grassa, Monday, ESPN New York. We return.
Hey guys, it's Peter Rosenberg. And listen, you know me. I'm always honest about what's going on with my life. And recently, I've just been dealing with some nagging pain that I finally decided I wasn't going to ignore anymore. So I ran into my guy, Dr. Jay Shah at Samwell Pain. Decided to set a meeting. And after we talked, I understood why so many people recommend him. He's Ivy League trained, all right? He's the real deal. He's double board certified, and he takes a non-surgical approach to helping people get back to living their lives. If pain is keeping you from enjoying your summer, don't just live with it. Go check out Samwell Pain. Visit SamwellPain.com. Trust me.
There are a million reasons to love New York. Making your budget stretch isn't one of them. According to an independent study, Amazon prices average 14% lower than other retailers. Get food, fashion, furniture, and more shipped straight to your building. Plus, another study found Amazon Prescription Pass customers pay nearly 1/3 less out of pocket. Learn more at aboutamazon.com.
D'Agostino, Law, Bite Back. This is John D'Agostino from D'Agostino & Associates. Did you know Social Security takes money out of every paycheck you earn? Paycheck after paycheck. And you're not supposed to touch that money until you're 67? What if you can't work? What if you need that money now? The system is challenging and most people get denied. That's a fact. D'Agostino & Associates has the experience to win, and we win a lot. If you filed for Social Security disability benefits and were denied, let us appeal. Call us first at 1-800-BITE-BACK. Bite Back means fight back. 1-800-248-3222. We'll fight to get you paid. D'Agostino & Associates has offices throughout New York and New Jersey and handles Social Security disability claims and appeals. Remember, if you've been denied, call us first. 1-800-BITE-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222. D'Agostino & Associates. We win a lot.
This is the Michael K. Show.
Talking with Alex Rodriguez, what you've seen of Lombard, what do you think?
It's amazing when you have a plus defender at short, how it makes your entire team better defensively. Lombard can do for the Yankees defensively and for those great pitchers what Aaron Judge does for the offense. That's how good Lombard can be.
The Michael K. Show, weekdays at 1 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube. Presented by the Parisman Firm.
Hey, New York and New Jersey, Boost Mobile has an unlimited talk, text, and data plan that's only $25 a month forever, meaning you'll only ever pay $25 a month for the rest of your life. Who wouldn't want unlimited wireless when it only costs $25 a month forever? If you don't, you must be one of those people who enjoy overpaying for their phone plan. $25 a month forever is truly as good as it gets, so go online and switch now at boostmobile.com. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
At City Harvest, we believe no New Yorker has to go hungry. With your help, we're on the road 365 days a year, rescuing over 77 million pounds of nutritious food and delivering it free to millions of New Yorkers, transforming surplus food into sustenance, sustainability, and smiles, rallying thousands of New Yorkers to power a network of nourishment across our city. One day, one meal, and one New Yorker at a time. That's how we feed good. Donate at cityharvest.org.
Progressive presents the Passionate Sports Fan Checklist. Signed jersey of your favorite bench warmer? Check. 14 bobbleheads that look nothing like the players they're emulating? Check. Twin TVs so you can watch the game on 2 different networks simultaneously? Check. Life-size wall sticker of your favorite player that routinely freaks you out at night? Check. A second life-size wall sticker so after the first one freaks you out, you see the second and you're like, oh right, the wall stickers. Check and mate. Bundle your renters and auto insurance with Progressive and save on protection for the things on your checklist. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers not available in all states or situations covered subject to policy terms.
Harry Douglas here to help you get in on the sweet life with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy. It's that classic throwback cotton candy flavor, but with 0 sugar and a 5-hour energy boost. I keep these with me so I can tackle that sweet tooth with a tasty caffeine kick and no guilty sugary aftermath. Bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shots. Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy. Available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon.
All right, 800-919-3776. Grassa sitting with you here on ESPN New York. According to Mike Garafolo, he of the network of the National Football League, which I guess, of course, is now ESPN. I mean, it's the same thing. Giants are signing a little bit of quarterback depth in the form of the former New Orleans Saint Jake Haener. So a little depth to the room. Brandon Allen, member, is the third-string quarterback. So they're going to tap in to see what they have from Haener. He worked out for the team late last month. Also worked out for a couple of other teams, and now it looks like that is indeed going to be the way that they go. Thanks again to the Giants, and thanks again to Brian Burns for hopping on the program. I mean, he was great. Gave you a glowing recommendation of the Spider-Man movie, which I have not yet seen. Forget about the Odyssey. I can't even make it through freaking Spider-Man, and that's, an hour, whatever, less than the Odyssey is. But all kidding aside, I mean, I'm excited to see what this defense can do, especially in that front seven. Now, it's obvious up front, they signed a bunch of guys to be able to make up for the loss of Dexter Lawrence. A bunch of, I hate to call them journeymen, but they're veterans that have been around the league, so it's not like they're going to be overwhelmed or anything like that, which is a good thing, right? The Shelby Harrises of the world, the DJ Readers, guys like that. But those linebackers really have a chance to be special. When you have Burns and Abdul Carter coming off of the edge, throw in Kayvon Thibodeau and what he's capable of doing, and then on the inside, with Arvell Reese and Tremaine Edmonds, if those guys can all stay on the field and play to their ability, they're going to have as good a linebacking core as there could possibly be that's a top 5 linebacking unit in the National Football League, hands down. So I don't know, whatever website is going to sit there and do their, like Tom was talking about earlier, the rankings in, 2027 to 2029. If you're going to sit there and look at this linebacker unit for the Giants over the next few years, if these guys all hit, this could be something. And now, look, I'm not going to go crazy, to go back 40 years. But if you think about those defenses under Parcells and Belichick, in the mid to late 80s and then into 1990, winning the 2 Super Bowls in 86 and in 1990. Those were unbelievable defenses. What was the strength of the defense? It was the linebackers. You had the greatest defensive player of all time on one end. You had Carl Banks on the other outside position, who was damn good in his own right. The Pepper Johnsons, Harry Carson was there in 86, not 90. Harry Carson, the Hall of Famer, then Pepper Johnson, Gary Reasons, guys like that. The linebackers were incredible in that 3-4 defense that Belichick played, with those Giants teams. And, it's going to take some time, of course, making sure everybody's on the same page when, A, you're trying to learn a new system, and B, you're incorporating still some young people, and young players to the mix. But overall, this could really, really be a fun group by the time we get to November and December, and these guys are, doing their thing on that side of the football. 800-919-3776, that is the telephone number. Before we get to Tom and his audio files, let's say hi to Walter, who is on the Lower East Side. He's up next here on ESPN New York. What's up, Walter? How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm just hoping that this new season for the Giants, I hope they kick some ass, and I'm sorry for the language. I hope they kick some butt out there and make us happy again to win another Super Bowl, man. I miss since the last time we beat the Patriots. I've been waiting for another Super Bowl championship. So what do you think about the new defense? And then your offense going on out there with the Giants.
Well, 15 years is a long time. Don't get me wrong, Walter. And thanks a lot for the phone call since they last won a Super Bowl. Forget about that, though. The Giants have not had a lot of very good seasons in the last 15 years. Making the playoffs, forget about winning the Super Bowl. Not even close, right? So you bring in a guy who is a proven winner in Coach Harbaugh. Proven winner, right? There are a handful of coaches in the National Football League that when they walk in the room, their presence should mean something. I'll give an example. I'm in the middle of, and just like I'm sure a lot of you are, in the middle of watching Hard Knocks, on HBO. And I got to be honest with you, and I hate to do this, and this wasn't even on my agenda today, but I'm a little underwhelmed by the first 2 episodes of Hard Knocks with the Seattle Seahawks because, and I think Rick and I were talking about this last week. The problem you run into is that the tenor of the program has changed over the last few years. It's trying to be a lot more human, and it's becoming a lot nicer in the sense that, like, they're not showing the vulnerability anymore of these players. And I also think that the teams have more control in terms of the editing of the programs, whereas, like, you used to watch Hard Knocks for the access and the storylines with some of these guys. It wasn't just, like, the star players, but, like, the guys who were fighting to make the roster, you know, what they're going through day in and day out. Even the star players, the guys that you know, because you have to have those, right? Otherwise, why are you watching? You know, what their lives are like away from the football field. They take you into their homes. They take you, you know, when these guys go out to eat, like, you know, some access away from the field. Last couple of years, like, you don't get any of that. Like, it's just basically like 1 hour constantly of, like, the facility. You go from the field to the meeting room, the field to the auditorium, the field to the, you know, positional meetings. Like, not for nothing, like, people don't need to see that. Last night, or in the last episode, they did a feature on Sam Darnold and how Sam Darnold has, like, the highest spin rate of any quarterback that throws a football in the NFL. And, like, the RPMs, I kid you not. They slowed down a pass of Sam Darnold, and they just showed the damn ball with a bright blue sky as the backdrop, spinning around. I kid you not, it was about 27 seconds of the ball being in the air, to where all you saw on screen for 27 seconds was just a ball spinning. And I thought to myself immediately, if this was the first incarnation of Hard Knocks 20 years ago, when the show first launched, or 25 years ago, whenever it was, it would not have the legs of 25 years. I hate to be that guy because I know people that work for the NFL and NFL films, and I love them. I think the product historically has been second to none. It's part of what developed my love and affinity for the NFL, all that access. But the show needs an overhaul. It just does. It just does. You know, there's not anything captivating anymore. They don't show you when the guys are getting cut. They don't give you any of that stuff. It's basically just like, hey, let's watch a team that I'm not a fan of have practice. And then let's have a team that I'm not a fan of have a meeting with their head coach. Great. Giving them a rah-rah, let's go win one for the Gipper speech. How did I get on this subject? I really don't remember. I think I was talking about Coach Harbaugh, and he's one of those coaches. And I think what I was getting into was when he walks into a room in front of a team, he has some gravitas. And then immediately took to the Mike McDonald, you know, addressing the Seahawks, which you just watch constantly and constantly and constantly. You know who was in this latest episode of Hard Knocks, believe it or not? You know what the biggest kicker for me was in the episode? My buddy Mitch Johnson, the coach of the San Antonio Spurs, who I bumped into at the airport in Turks and Caicos. He was visiting Seahawks camp, and they took him because he's from Seattle originally. So he was in with Coach McDonald and all that stuff, and he was kind of getting pointers on, you know, messaging to the team and all that different sort of stuff. And that was like the highlight of the episode for me. But other than that, you know, a lot of give or take it, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, that's my PSA. 800-919-3776. That is the telephone number. All right, without further ado, we now need to hear from our good buddy. You heard him earlier on the Sideline to Sideline. Now he's not just going to keep it exclusively to football. He's going to be all over the map. It is the great Tom Bauer with something we call the Audio Files.
The Audio File.
Oh, yeah. Audio Files.
What'd you think of that Brian Burns interview there, Tom?
I was a big fan of the Brian Burns interview. I was appreciative of what he had to say about Arvell Reese. He said that Abdul Carter's going to have a big season. You never know. 20 sacks could be in play at some point. And, of course, the fact that Spider-Man is a big fan of the new Spider-Man movie.
Tom, those were some good questions, don't you think?
Oh, they sure were. I think he did a fine job putting those questions together.
I thought he did a fine job with those questions. It's an inside joke, folks. Inside joke.
That's what we do around here. At any rate, let's get into some audio files. So let's start with the Giants because we just had Brian Burns on, and I feel like playing some Giants audio right here. John Harbaugh, takeaways from your first game as the New York Giants football head coach. That sentence wasn't put together well. Here's Coach.
I really was. I felt. There's meaning to a lot of things. You're so wrapped up in the game. Even coming over here this morning, seeing the guys, the meeting last night, touching the guys, doing the pre-talking to the guys, the game. Because it's a game. And sometimes you just take a minute. My wife texted me a really cool text about that very thing. This is a moment. You understand what this means and enjoy it and be encouraging and be upbeat and this is a big beginning in our life. And I feel that way for the organization. I feel that way for the team, the guys, and I feel that way for the coaches. I feel that way for our families, and for me personally, it was a good start.
Going to play a little bit more from Coach here. Cam Scannaboo made his highly anticipated to Giants fans return to the field. How did he look?
Yeah, I was excited about it because I thought I saw Cam Scannaboo, you guys all know, and saw last year. So I don't know if he's 100%, twitchy and explosive yet, but he's getting there. He's come a long way in the last 2-3 weeks.
A lot of excitement from Coach. I can hear it in his voice.
Very twitchy, as he says.
That's right. Twitchy, excited, a lot of things. Although I don't think he'd be excited about Jaxson Dart taking sacks this year and having to go to the medical tent. Coach spoke about that.
The hit that Jaxson took, what were your feelings at that moment when you saw that?
My feelings in that moment was we need to block better. That's what my feeling was.
Was there any hesitation in putting him back in?
No, he was fine.
Yeah, looking at you, Tyrone Tracy, were you surprised he was sent to the blue tent?
Honestly, I was. But I would say that their job is to err on the side of player safety, so I can't argue with that either.
And, I'll just continue playing some audio files right here. Jaxson Dart, what was it like being sent to the blue tent?
As far as the blue tent, I really respect the rules and the thought behind, NFL has of keeping players healthy and reviewing things. But at the same time, I'm still puzzled by it just feeling like every time that I get hit, I just find my way in there, which at times I still try to wrap my head around. But that's all that I'm going to say about that situation.
And I can only imagine what this next answer is going to be. Do you want to continue playing in preseason football, Jaxson Dart, after the hit you took and, of course, the limited action that you saw?
Yeah, I'm ready to go out there whenever my number's called. I love this game, and I want to take full advantage of every opportunity that I have when I'm out there. So I love being out there. I love being out there with the guys, with the boys, and just competing. So, yeah, like I said, whenever my number's called, I'm excited.
He has a lot of respect for the blue tent. That's what it sounds like. He respects the blue tent. And you have to have respect for the blue tent, right, Tom?
Oh, I would think so. That blue tent is going to make or break you if you get hurt.
I think over time, the blue tent is going to evolve. I've said this. To where it's not even going to be something that they, take down and then put up only as needed. The blue tent is going to be a permanent fixture.
You think it's going to be as giant as one of those, circus tents or something like that?
And look, I'm shocked that they don't do this already. When is the first team going to be allowed, or when is somebody going to think to sell advertising on the blue tent? There's advertising on everything else, There's going to be some, sponsored by Pepsi or something, right? Or, by Tostitos. And then you go inside the blue tent, and there's going to be, all the chips that your heart could desire, while you're sitting there getting checked out. You might as well not do it with an empty stomach. Tostitos, best in a blue tent. Something like that.
I see what you're doing.
Tom, why am I the one giving teams in the NFL this genius idea?
It's a brilliant marketing idea.
What else do I have to do for them?
You're even writing the script for the promo itself right there.
I'm writing the script for the promo without actually writing the script for the promo. It's just coming out naturally.
The NFL, they need to take notes right here. This is why we play audio files, because you don't get this from anywhere else out there, unless the idea has already been sent. But as far as I know, this is the first time I'm hearing about this idea, Dan.
I love it.
That's good forward thinking by you. So now we're going to take a look at the New York Jets and look back a little bit, or as Aaron Glenn is about to do, reminisce, because I saw this cut in our system earlier, and it had no context, apparently, no question that was added to the front of this. Aaron Glenn, I guess, reflecting on the Hofstra days when they were back at training camp. An interesting story he has to tell here.
The Hofstra dorms, me, Webster Slaughter, Wayne Cribbett, playing dominoes till 1 o'clock in the morning for the most part, because there was nothing else for us to do. But listen, those are some times now. And just the dorms they had, and I did everything I can to try to make it seem like it was my own apartment, to where you take the double beds, you put the beds together, try to make you a king-size bed, bring your TV in, a color TV at that, and, man, you try to make it as comfortable as you can.
In 1990, Webster Slaughter was a Jet for 1 year in 96. So, what's the matter? They didn't have any internet. No, there was no internet in 96.
Probably no air conditioning either, because I've been in those Hofstra dorms and they
yeah.
suck with air conditioning.
No phones.
Very small beds.
I think Ray had the perfect idea when he said they should have hit up, one of our pal Mr. Buttle's establishments there on Long Island near Hofstra. They could have had some fun there.
They could have, but there are plenty of places to play dominoes on Hofstra. I can't confirm that. I'm not an expert on Hofstra architecture back in like 1996 or something like that, but I'm pretty sure there was enough places to play dominoes with
Well,
Wayne
let me
for
ask
bread.
you a question. How strong would you say your dominoes game is?
My dominoes game? I probably haven't played a game of dominoes since I was like 5 years old.
Ray, dominoes, yay or nay? I don't think we've ever had this conversation.
Probably better at eating dominoes than playing dominoes.
See, I see what you did there. I could go for some dominoes now. I'm hungry. I couldn't tell you the last time I played dominoes. I probably couldn't even remember the rules of dominoes.
Do you know the rules of Domino's Pizza? You know whether you're going to take it out or whether you're going to actually go and pick it up?
You order on the app. You go pick it up. Whatever the price, it's not even costing $10 out of your pocket.
30 minutes or less, or it's free.
30 minutes or less, bang. Those are the rules.
Is that an unwritten rule of pizza, or is that ever a thing?
With what?
The 30 minutes or less thing.
Well, what happened was back in the day, like of Domino's, when they deliver 30 minutes or less, or it's free. I remember that there was one delivery guy. This is a true story. Believe he got into an accident because he was racing against the clock to beat the 30 minutes. And then after that, the promotion kind of cooled a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Because, the lives are more important than the pizza.
Well, that's something. But that's a history lesson for you.
There you go.
One more thing that happened over the weekend. Tommy John, unfortunately, passed away, and the Yankees put out a nice statement about Tommy John. He put out a statement before his passing, before Old Timers Day. Aaron Boone reflected on the memory and legacy of Tommy John.
Obviously a tremendous career, I hope people remember, how outstanding his career was, and not just being named for the injury that obviously we know very well now. He came over in '82 to the Angels when my dad was there, was part of that American League West championship team that went in the playoffs. I can see his wind-up, one of my favorite wind-ups to imitate, but a great career and obviously a lasting legacy.
And speaking of that legacy, Aaron, in your mind, is Tommy John a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I think all things considered, the longevity, the amount of numbers that he actually did accumulate, and then just a name that is so synonymous with baseball today. Obviously the surgery that gave him a much longer career, but obviously in some way it's unfortunate we know almost too much about now.
In the modern era, and we could get into this a little bit deeper actually, but in the modern era, the only player I believe that had a longer career than Tommy John was Nolan Ryan. By one more year. 27 years against 26 years. And Tommy John, think about this. His career was extended another 14 years after having that surgery, which nobody even knew what the repercussions were going to be, whether it would work or not. Think about it. And Tommy John told a story once, too, that, back in the day, you might remember Sandy Koufax's career was cut short because of injury. And Tommy John said that, if Sandy Koufax essentially needed the same type of thing, right? He needed the ligament or whatever, but back then in the 60s, nobody had thought of that yet. And he said if Sandy Koufax had the surgery first, or if they thought of it with him first, it would be called Sandy Koufax surgery instead of Tommy John surgery. He always laughed about that. But, yeah, very, very sad. But, we got to take a break. I know that. And when we come back, though, I want to do a deeper dive on that because it really is amazing that Tommy John hasn't found himself never found himself in the Hall of Fame while he was still around, which is really, really unfortunate. We'll get into that, plus a couple of calls to squeeze out the end of the program. We'll hand it over to Michael coming up at 1. Grasso with you here on ESPN New York.
There you were, surrounded by fans. Everybody remembers the game. Nobody remembers the guy coughing behind you. Till a few days later, at 2 a.m., you wake up with a fever and your throat's on fire. Now what? Urgent care? Closed. ER? Slammed. Telehealth? Maybe, but the pharmacy's closed. You needed a medical emergency kit. These aren't first aid kits. They contain essential prescriptions used for over 30 common conditions. Sinus and ear infection, UTIs, stomach bugs, traveler's diarrhea, and more on hand before you need them. Use your doctor-developed guidebook to select the right prescription or call their telemedicine doctor standing by. It's like an urgent care and drugstore at home. When you're sick, traveling, or stranded, you'll wish you'd ordered a medical emergency kit. Order online in minutes and it's shipped to your door. And save $45 with my promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880. That's promo code 880 at urgentcarekit.com/880.
If you've been injured on a construction site, then you need a lawyer who knows New York's unique labor laws. At the Parisman Firm, they have decades of experience handling construction accident cases and a proven track record of delivering huge results. Their team has already recovered nearly $1 billion for hardworking New Yorkers. From scaffold accidents to slip and falls and equipment failures, they've got your back. Call the Parisman Firm now at 718-WORKERS. That's right, 718-WORKERS, because your case is their cause. Get the justice you deserve today.
Okay, girls, ready to go?
Yeah! Mom, I'm hungry. Can I have a snack? Me too, Mommy.
You want a snack?
Yeah!
Got it?
Children learn from our behaviors.
Mommy, can you open this,
All right, hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay, here.
Thank you.
They learn what is okay from the adults they see.
Mommy, are you on your phone?
If you're a distracted driver, chances are they will be too. What kind of driver are you raising? Funded by the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
Mornings with DiPietro and Rothenberg.
Buster only joins us. Who is a team in the American League right now that should scare Yankees fans a little bit?
All of them. There's so much parity in the American League, it's kind of crazy. So if you told me that the Yankees reached the World Series, I wouldn't be shocked. And if you told me they got knocked out in the first round, that wouldn't shock me either. I don't think they have any idea what they're going to get out of Judge and Stan the rest of the year. Like none.
DiPietro and Rothenberg, morning 6 to 10 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
Monkey Sports, built by players for players, is your one-stop shop for hockey, baseball, lacrosse, and more. Find top-name equipment and expert in-store services like sharpening, break-ins, and relacing. Shop in-store at Monkey Sports in Farmingdale or Woodbridge or online for all the top brands. Whatever your sports, Monkey Sports gets you game ready fast. Monkey Sports, where athletes shop.
Are you ready to make a difference for the environment while helping the visually impaired at the same time? Then donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind today by calling 1-800-983-6530. Every donated vehicle will either be properly recycled in an eco-friendly manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-983-6530 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 1-800-983-6530 right now to schedule your vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-983-6530 now. This advertisement is paid for by Heritage for the Blind.
Congratulations, New York. The Knicks did it. Through battle after battle, they dominated to become this year's NBA champions. Day in and day out, the hard work paid off, and you were there every step of the way. Enjoy the crown. Own it, because this year is your year. A part of your legacy that will never be forgotten. So celebrate this moment, show your pride, and shop the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
Dan Grasso with you here on ESPN New York. A few more minutes. We hand things over to Michael at 1 o'clock. Real quick, things just coming out now. According to ESPN, their investigative team, NBA has found no evidence that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer funneled money to Kawhi Leonard via sponsors with all that Fugazi stuff going on with the sponsorship deal and the scoreboard. So that has been put to rest, at least for the time being. According to other reports, the Giants, back to them for a second, they're hosting Najee Harris for a visit. Now, Najee Harris was a guy, remember, first 4 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was a 1,000-yard rusher. Last year went to the Chargers, only played in a couple of games, injury. They were done with him there, so now he's been out on the street. I don't know what his situation is health-wise. Now, remember, John Harbaugh's brother was the coach out there with the Chargers, so I don't know if there's any sort of intel there. It also tells me that given what happened with Tyrone Tracy and the missed block, the whiff, shall we put it, on Saturday, could this be sending a message that, hey, that's not going to be tolerated here? So we'll see what happens with the Najee Harris situation there with the Giants. The Tommy John situation, it really is incredible that, to me, he's not in the Hall of Fame. When you think about longevity and, you know, what one meant to the game, as I said, his career to Nolan Ryan deserves a comp. And this is the thing about Nolan Ryan, and, you know, his impact is more legendary with the longevity as well than anything else. But, you know, Nolan Ryan was a guy who never won a Cy Young Award. Okay, he was never somebody that during his career you said, oh, this is the best pitcher. No, he became this, like, legendary figure because he pitched till he was, you know, in his mid-40s. And, you know, was still throwing no-hitters, you know, later into his career. But, you know, you look at Nolan Ryan's resume and you look at Tommy John's resume. Okay, Tommy John has 3 20-win seasons. Nolan Ryan only had 2. Tommy John was a runner-up for the Cy Young twice. Nolan Ryan was only the runner-up once. You look at their postseason statistics, okay? Tommy John pitched 88 innings in the postseason. Nolan Ryan only 58. Tommy John has a 2.65 postseason ERA. Nolan Ryan's is over 3. You know, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that Tommy John was a better pitcher, but what I'm saying is that for somebody who pitched one less season in the big leagues and still won, you know, close to 300 games, if that is the magical marker, right? And he got to 283, 288, and he missed an entire season due to that Tommy John surgery in 1975. You know, you'd have to think, given the way starting pitchers, you know, went back in those days and they finished what they started and, you know, wins meant more then. You know, you're talking about a guy who probably, you know, is right there in the conversation. And, you know, unfortunately, if he does get in down the road with some veterans committee or wherever they slice it, you know, unfortunately, he's not around to experience it. But guy had a great career, really and truly did. And with the impact of the game, surprised that never found himself in Cooperstown. But hopefully that's a wrong that is righted sometime down the road. Really cool thing, too, over the weekend. I forgot to mention this with baseball. And the great thing about baseball, again, you never know what you're going to see. Anytime you go to a ballpark, you turn on a game, you know, history. Cardinals slugger Josh Baez, who made his big league debut on Saturday at Wrigley Field, did something that nobody has ever done in the history of baseball, ever. He homered in his first, second, and third big league plate appearances. It's never been done before. 3 straight trips to the plate, 3 home runs on Saturday in Chicago, which was really, really cool. Think about it. All the great players that have ever laced up in baseball, nobody has ever done that. Homer in their first 3 at-bats. He did it there. So that was pretty outstanding. Mets, the only local tonight in action, hosting the Padres to begin his series. Nolan McLean on the bump tonight, 7:10 first pitch. Our coverage begins right here, 6:30 on 880. I am off for the next couple of days. I will talk to you again on Thursday. I want to thank Brian Burns of the New York Football Giants for joining us. He was outstanding. Thanks to Ray Dinahan. Thanks to Tom Bauer for producing the program today. Keep it locked in. Michael, the great Michael K. Show, coming up next. He will take you for the next 2 hours. Grass is saying so long here on ESPN New York.
Hey, it's Peter Rosenberg. This summer, I made a decision. Instead of just living with my pain, I wanted to find out what was actually causing it. That's why I went to see Dr. Jay Shah at Samwell Pain. What I liked right away was his approach. He takes the time to understand what's going on and builds a treatment plan that's right for you without jumping straight to surgery. If you're dealing with back pain, neck pain, sciatica, or joint pain, it's worth having the conversation. With offices in Woodbridge, Livingston, and Inglewood, getting care is convenient no matter where you are. Go to SamwellPain.com to learn more.